Hello and welcome back to What's This Podcast. If you're wondering why it sounds like we're literally sitting next to you in your bedroom as you're listening to us,
or car,
or
so
living room,
headphones. That was a bit. We won't say it. A little bit nonsense.
That
was well creepy.
Yeah, it's because we have a new setup. Really, we've got new mics, new headphones, and we're looking the biz. We're looking the business. But yeah, welcome back. If you're here on the YouTube side, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you never miss another one of our shows. But today's I'm also joined by, because I forgot to introduce everyone, myself.
You're joined by yourself?
Yeah. Ethan. And
he's schizophrenic. John.
And Jim.
And Ronnie.
Yeah, that intro was a bit dodgy, wasn't it?
Yeah, but you did it, so we're going to keep it.
Yeah,
because it's like gold. It's like hen's teeth. You doing an intro.
I know.
Yeah. But yeah, today's topic is we've been wanting to do for a while, but everyone's been busy, or we just haven't had the time. Did
you mention the name of the podcast?
He did. Yeah, he said,
"What's this podcast?" Of course, I mentioned the name of our podcast.
It's our podcast. Yeah, the reason we wanted to,
if you heard, fatherhood, because Ronnie did talk over me there.
I mean, it was
our topic.
It is our hot topic.
It's because we need it. Ronnie's been a bit ill, and he's had some and his wife's been a bit ill, so with childcare issues and things. It wasn't that, I don't think. No,
it's full blown.
So, and we need to do this podcast. It was good. Wanted to have us all here because that's the whole point. Because we all can bring something to this.
Three are dads. One's a child of one of them dads.
Exactly.
You are awesome at explaining stuff.
I just go for the basics.
Right, Ethan, what are we going to talk about?
Kids.
Oh, no. You just can't stop, can you? Fatherhood,
yeah. Fatherhood.
So you're going to be leading this one. You're going to be keeping us on track and making sure we don't.
Make sure you're not butting in like you always do.
I mean, you just cut across me, but that's fine.
Well, yeah, that was just a one-off from all the times you butt in on me.
Okay, sorry about that.
So yeah.
So anyway,
talk
about. Carry on. Sorry.
Talking about fatherhood, then. As you three are dads.
Correct.
What I would like to ask, what it's like being a father.
Yeah, well, I'll go last because I'm the eldest father with the eldest kids.
The eldest father, yeah.
So we'll start. Do you want to start with Ronnie because he's got the youngest kid?
So yeah, in fact, let's just very brief intro as to why we're doing fatherhood, I suppose.
Yeah, go on then.
So Ronnie is 40 years old, and he has a fairly young child who is how old, Ronnie?
3.
3.
Oh, we
forgot to think about that.
That 3 came with a question mark.
So he's doing the toddler thing right now, whereas myself and James, we both have 2 children that are, I believe, about a year apart from each other.
Well, no, Annie is 22 this year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Annie's 22, and
near me then.
Emily is 19 currently. Will be 20 this year, but not till October.
I thought Emily was only just 18.
So she's the same age as me then.
Right. So Emily's the same age as Ethan, and Alyssa is younger. 18.
Yeah.
So give or take a couple of years, our children are pretty much. So our children are adults now.
Pretty much, yeah.
And we went through that whole. So we've been through it all the way up until the adult bit. So we can talk about sort of that element of it. And Ethan is, as you perhaps know or perhaps don't, is my child.
Yeah.
So he can talk about me being his father.
And also, John and I, can talk about being young parents, and Ronnie can talk about geriatric parenting.
Is that official? Are you officially a geriatric parent?
Yeah, it would be over 35.
Is that it?
Well, it would be classed as a geriatric pregnancy over 35. So I'm assuming geriatric parenting.
What's that mean?
I mean, I know he's put on a little bit of weight
Old.
over lockdown, but I wouldn't necessarily say he was pregnant.
It's just a polite word of calling you old.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are you looking it up, Ronnie?
I am, yes.
Okay. Am I right?
I don't know.
Right. So, Ethan. Oh, so no, it was Ronnie, wasn't it? What was it? What's it like being the father of a young lad?
Well, I mentioned just before that, I was going to say the other interesting thing is we do have we have different experiences of fatherhood ourselves as well.
Yes, massively.
Because as well as being fathers, we have been fathered to a
I was
degree.
beaten.
Off.
Punch and kick.
Not nearly enough. So yeah, being a father to a 3-year-old is knackering. you lose
Especially
all
your
your free time.
age.
Well, yes, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's full of energy. I think my big thing for me was not realizing how much time you lose. I know people said about kind of get jobs done before you have kids because your free time is just non-existent until you get to until your kids get to start getting the independence, and then you start getting some more free time in that. But yeah, that's the thing that's got to me. As you know, doing these podcasts, I've sometimes struggled to be able to be part of this or to find a good time for recording because it is so busy having a 3-year-old.
That's why we record now, but it's currently 2:00 in the morning.
It's just gone to sleep.
A few minutes to 10.
Well, I don't know about you, Ronnie, but when my kids were young, that's when I pretty much started going to bed very, very late because I would be looking after them most of the evening, especially when me and my partner at the time split up. So I had the kids by myself. So I'd be looking after them. Then I'd get jobs done around the house. And then it was me time and I'd sit down and watch TV or read a book, which would probably, stretch into the 1, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning before I went to bed. I mean, how's that working out for you? You in a similar sort of schedule?
Oh yeah, the golden hours of post-bedtime, pre-adult bedtime. Yeah, they are very, very precious.
How much sleep would you get then if you go in bed that late?
These days, I mean, I try not to be too late, but if you go to bed at midnight and then up at 7:30, that's 7.5 hours. That's reasonable. Yeah,
see, I'm not as good as that. I mean, a lot of the time it'd be 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to bed and then I'd be up at 7 with the girls. So,
that's bad.
But I did that for the best part. And I still, if it didn't have a bedtime now, or I'm married and the wife makes me go to bed at 1, I would still be up until 3, 4 in the morning.
See, I'm exactly like that.
Yeah, no,
I stay up. I just stay up. I can't sleep. It's weird. I don't think it's because I can't sleep. It's just because I don't want to sleep. Because I feel like when I'm at night.
That's the night owls versus kind of the morning people, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm neither. I'll quite happily
You're neither and both.
I'll quite happily go to bed at 9 o'clock at night and not get up till 10, 11 o'clock the next day.
Yeah, you're
I'll
both.
do 13 hours straight. Yeah.
What's the longest you've ever slept in one go?
Don't know. A long while.
I'll let you know this. I woke up on Christmas morning a few years back with a bad back, like really bad back, and I woke up after I took some tablets on Boxing Day afternoon.
Yeah,
you missed the whole.
You missed it.
Yeah,
sleep.
My ex came and picked the kids up. The old man dropped me off some with medication after his transplant, and it just knocked me out.
Yeah, you were drugged basically.
I was drugged into a coma for over 24 hours.
Anything, she was on your own.
Oh, lovely. I had a great day planned.
You missed a lot.
And this is
sodomized.
This is going to be your only Christmas on your own.
This is something I'll go into. As me and my ex, when we broke up, we then like co-parenting. So I haven't got the kids all the time, and that's an interesting.
So how old were you when Annie was born?
I was a month off being 21.
Okay, and then and then Emily came along when you were
a couple of 3 years later.
Okay, and obviously you broke up with Charlie after about a year after Emily was born.
So Emily was, I think, 3. When,
okay. Okay, and then but you had 50% of custody, so you were almost a single dad, I suppose. Because
there was no official custody. We didn't do any of that. We just had an agreement.
Yeah.
So it was. I had them 4 nights a week. She had them 3.
Yeah.
Pretty much is the way it worked out for a while, and then but it swapped and changed each year. So it's one of those.
I suppose
things.
When they got older, though, they chose as well when they'd come to see you or something. Did they not? You still. We made the minute I like just come and see you, don't I? Whenever I feel like
yes.
it.
So I am not with Ethan's mum. We broke up not long after Ethan was born, literally a couple of months after Ethan was born, and so that's an interesting point. You've never known any different. You've never seen parents argue and break up.
Not really, no.
Is that in my mind? I would have always assumed that would have been a good thing, because I went through that. 11 years old, I went through the locking myself in my bedroom with my brother while my parents went apeshit at each other for the best part of probably 2 years until they finally got divorced, and that was really, I hated that.
See, but my kids, I think, were too young to understand.
Exactly like Ethan, which is why I think what were your earliest memories of me and your mum not being together?
No, would I?
No, but what were your earliest memories?
What do you mean? Like,
was there any time when it was noticeable? Was there any time when you questioned it? Was there any time? Or was it just dead normal right from the get-go?
I would
It's
think
just normal for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think
Normal
someone at
coming
school
round.
would go, is that your dad when it was your stepdad or your mum's partner or whatever it's called, or
Probably.
and you're like, no,
Probably, yeah.
don't
but I
live,
never
don't live with my
really-
dad or anything like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you,
I'm
so
just
you,
used to it because Rachel's been here since I remember, and
Yeah.
I don't even remember a time when Liam wasn't there either.
Yeah.
So it just feels
so it's
like
always been 2 full families.
yeah, and I quite enjoy it because I've got their side as well. I've got Rachel's side of the family and Liam's side of the family, so it's not like
You have
just
got,
one
you have got a
massive
very
family.
big
I mean,
family, yeah.
the family
Christmas is
circle
brilliant.
is massive. You've got your dad's, Rachel's, Haley's, and Liam's, and not one of them likes you.
I
So-
know, yeah.
So what are the
I'm the
drawbacks?
outcast.
What are the drawbacks? Because obviously you've got a sister, because me and Rachel have Alyssa. So you've got a half sister in Alyssa, and you've also got a half brother,
Yeah.
because your mum and Liam have got Archie. So did you ever feel that you
well, you're all harsh with each other.
segregated a little bit, that you weren't fully, when you were here, you didn't feel necessarily on the same level as Alyssa, or at home you didn't feel necessarily the same as Archie?
I think at home only because he's younger, isn't it? And the younger one's always
Because what's the age difference between you and Archie?
8 years. So
But you and Alyssa, it's only
11.
I mean, that says a lot about me. You and Alyssa, it's only about 10 months.
Jonathan was potent.
No, a bit longer.
Yeah.
A bit longer than that.
Only just not quite a year.
No, because
between you and
Alyssa's
Alyssa.
18 and I'll be 20 in this month.
Oh yeah, sorry. So it's just over a year. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
year
Yeah,
and
because
year and
Alyssa's not
6
not
months,
till
something
May,
like
is
that.
she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think more with Archie just because he's younger, isn't he? So, and at the time when I was younger, we didn't really have much. And now, obviously, from what Liam's built with his business and stuff, they've got a bit more money and stuff like that. So I see more Archie getting a bit better than I did when I was younger, only because of
Yeah.
that situation.
Well, the youngest is always spoiled regardless.
Yeah,
Because it's always the baby.
I can't believe you think that. I think you're well spoiled.
I mean, you are well spoiled.
I am, but if you're not,
I suppose I
compared to
don't. I
Archie.
don't.
Well,
see, yeah, I
I,
don't.
I will clarify that you are well spoiled on one side.
But then, like coming here, I thought more like you missed out on the inside jokes and stuff where you'd all be laughing about stuff that I wouldn't have a clue about, or because I was only coming here once every 2 weeks, wasn't it? For
Yeah.
a weekend every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought I missed out on stuff like holidays as well here, stuff like that.
Yeah, we tried to include you in as many holidays as we could, but obviously, I suppose what you didn't necessarily see was the
Relationship between you and
between
Haley.
me and your mom, and
Yeah.
trying to sort of keep access keep the right kind of access to have you at the right times and be able to work holidays around you and things like that.
It always
we
seemed
always
like
wanted
when you
to
were
try
on
to keep you
holiday,
included.
we'd be on holiday.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Well, that is also because obviously school holidays are a set period, and
Do you feel that has had a negative or a positive impact on your life, or do you not really?
Like, what?
Well, having coming from a broken family,
No, I wouldn't say.
is there but not because obviously Archie's, like, you can see your brother's not from a broken home, and like your cousins aren't, and Alyssa isn't. Do you see anything that you think I don't
No, I get
I think
twice as many presents.
I think your dad's trying to make you cry.
No, I'm not. This is an
I don't
interesting
think
topic.
I do. No, I quite enjoy it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like the difference? Because I mean, I suppose I do. My dad's remarried, and sort of that side of the family, and obviously I've still got my mum because my mum and dad aren't together. And
See, I'm not from a broken home. My mum and dad were together until my mum passed away. 16 years ago now. So that's all I ever knew. So I felt quite bad for my kids when I was younger that I wasn't with their mum.
It's
And I
more
thought, how's it going to
modern thing
affect
now, isn't
how
it?
it's going to affect them when they're grown up? But I think they're all right. They've turned out decent. Yeah. How about
think it's
you,
gonna
Ronnie? You
Well,
in
this is
a-
one of the interesting things. Is, I mean, my dad left when I was about 1, so I grew most of my life with my mum as a sole parent. Which, I mean, I think it was absolutely fine. But it does, when it comes to being a father myself, I have no role model to follow. So
That's
I'm having
interesting,
to
yeah.
wing it completely.
Well, you say you've got no role model to follow, but I'm assuming a lot of your friends have had kids. Would you not consider them
have.
to be?
They,
Do you not draw from their experiences, or
I was never really
Or ask
particularly
them,
interested in. And I mean, yeah, I mean, John. I think John's been a brilliant parent, and I'm trying to take cues from him. But it wasn't until I had kids that I actually started sort of paying attention to that kind of stuff, because it wasn't
Yeah.
relevant before. I wasn't planning. Well, I was not planning to be a parent, but I wasn't kind of putting a guide together of what I was going to do until kind of Ezra came along.
So your situation, Mario, you were married before for quite a long time, and obviously no children with that marriage for various reasons. and then you and Millie got together, and then you both decided quite early on. So what was your motivation for wanting to have children? Was it always there? Was it the fact that you were with Millie and that sort of like everything aligned, or
Yeah, I
was
think
there
so. I mean,
another?
even with my ex, we had a dog, and I mean, it's not quite the same thing, but it's to a degree a stand-in for a child, isn't it? It's something that's
Yeah,
entirely
It's a
reliant
fur
on you
baby.
to look after. Yeah. So there was that there. So I think there was something there. But yeah,
Because you are quite a paternal person, I think. You're very you've always been quite a paternal person. I've thought you've not been a Jack the lad, like loves being single, going out on the lash. I mean, that's very stereotypical, I have to say, but you've always been a homebody person. You've always been I've always pictured you being a father. Is it just that it didn't happen until now?
I think that's the thing. I don't have an image in my head of what a father should be to actually say yes or no, or to guide towards it. So I don't think of myself as being paternal, but that's because I don't have a kind of clear example of what a father is in my head.
Yeah. Well, one of my friends has recently become a dad, and he was insistent for a very long time he would never father a child. He'd been in relationships, and both of them had agreed never having kids. And he's with a lady at the moment who he said, you know what, if she wants a kid, I'll quite happily have one. You know I'm talking about, yeah. Deke. But he said, if I need any, guidance or anything like that, then I've got a plethora of people to go to and ask, because the entire group of friends that he's part of with us have had children.
Yeah.
Some like me and Michael young, and Pete as well, young parents, and then Toe, more recent, with a 10-year-old and stuff like that. But he was for a very long time no kids, never having kids.
Is it just when you meet the right person, do you think?
I think
for some people,
definitely for him, he couldn't see himself having kids with the other ladies. But with this one, he was quite open to it.
Had the S onto that.
Well, there was, he was in long-term relationship, but he'd had other relationships before that, and he was never interested in having kids, because it was always a discussion we had, drunk at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the pub and whatnot. When are you gonna have a kid? And he was like, never.
So for me and you, Jim, obviously we had kids quite young. I suppose so let's start with Ronnie. What was that? You've just found out, whether it be planned or not planned, you've just found out
Initial reaction
to the pregnancy. Go.
I mean, I think I disappointed Millie because I wasn't kind of fall over absolutely shocked. I was like, oh, okay, great. But I'm quite a stoic person. It takes quite a lot to kind of knock me off balance anyway.
I thought that would be something that would knock you off balance, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's quite big life-changing news.
It was, but my brain just went to start kind of planning, and what does that mean? Okay, what need to change now?
So you went down the pragmatist sort of route.
Yeah.
I've got to do this. I've got to do that.
That is you in a nutshell, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm quite a pragmatist. Yeah.
How about you, John?
So when I found out that Ethan's mum was pregnant with Ethan, I think I was 19.
Yeah. I think I remember you telling me.
Yeah,
I think
it was a shock. Of course it was.
Yeah.
I mean, none of my children were planned, but I'm so glad that it happened that way, because I think ultimately I'm quite a selfish person.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily come across as being selfish.
No, you do.
Do I?
No.
Yeah, I am an arsehole.
Selfish bitch.
Selfish bitch. So I don't think I ever would have chosen to have children. So I'm so glad that it just happened.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I really am. I really am so glad that it just happened. It was scary as fuck. And then obviously, I mean, without going into too much detail how the situation happened, it wasn't that long after that me and Rachel got together, and Rachel fell pregnant.
No,
so,
I think we should go into detail, because it is about fatherhood and how it happened.
Okay, so I suppose when I was with Ethan's mum, I knew that I've talked to Ethan about this. This isn't any great news to Ethan. I knew I was very young. We got together when I was probably about 18. Been together maybe a couple of years.
Met each other at work.
Yes.
Yeah.
She fell pregnant. We lived together. She fell pregnant, and I had to be the guy that stuck by her because she was pregnant, and I wanted to be that guy. And then after Ethan was born, and we were buying a house, we were literally on. And I remember the day it happened, because I was literally about to sign to buy a house, and I was literally just about to turn 20. And I thought, this is it. If I sign this now, it almost felt like this is going to be me now, and I'm going to be my mum and dad, and we're going to be together for the next however many years in a relationship that I don't want
You
to
don't
be
want
in.
to be in, yeah.
And I thought, is selfishly or not, I thought if I don't do it now, it's going to be later on down the line. And Ethan's going to have to see us
What you saw
go
with
through.
your mum and dad, yeah.
Yeah, because I just didn't see it happening. And then I was also where I was working at the time. Rachel was in my life at that point as a friend, and feelings were growing towards between me and Rachel. And I just thought, this shouldn't be right. I shouldn't be feeling the way I'm feeling about one person and not about the mother of my child.
Yeah.
So it wasn't. I mean, this is one of these.
It wasn't a conscious decision.
It wasn't a decision. It wasn't. I left one person for another person. I left one person.
And found one person.
And a couple of months later, me and Rachel got together, and then probably only about 3 months after we got together, she fell pregnant with Alyssa. So
you banged her up good.
Banged her up good.
Goddamn super sperm.
You literally couldn't sit in a seat after I'd sat down for risk of pregnancy.
I mean, I got pregnant at one point.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's just, no, that's just a beer belly and full of burgers and pizza. Now, with regard to you and Rachel, that was a really weird time for me.
Yes.
Because we all worked together at that point, and I think I introduced you to Rachel.
Yeah.
Because I was there working there before you, and obviously then you came and worked with me, and then I was my two friends, and then all of a sudden my friends are kissing, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I did not like it. I was like, I don't like it. It's weird. Stop doing it.
You just wanted to be the kisser of me, didn't you, James?
Well, to be fair, you keep turning up in that leather catsuit, then I'm going to kiss you, John.
So that was it was fuck. And then when Rachel was pregnant with Alyssa,
was it fuck again?
Fuck, but a longer fuck that time.
Was it? Yeah, that's how you conceive a girl.
It was really difficult time. Those early years were really difficult because I was 21. I just turned 21. And I had a week-old baby. I had a year and a half old, just over a year-old son.
Sort of toddler
just
age.
Gotten married because me and Rachel got married like before Alyssa was born. So we don't. Yeah. I've still got the mark from the shotgun in my back as I was pushed down the aisle. No. It's been one of the best decisions I've ever done was marrying Rachel.
One of
probably the only decision I've ever made that worked out well.
The wedding video was quite good as well.
The wedding video, yeah, you did the wedding video. I've never seen that, Ronnie. I don't know where that is.
Don't
watch it. Did you take it to the toilet?
I remember, it was the first thing I'd ever recorded. I remember holding the camera and then this is quite long. My hand's now shaking. Just trying to hold this camera up.
Oh yeah, it was the shaky hand.
Just to put in on this one. This is just a videoing things sort of comment. It does make me laugh because I had to video my uncle's wedding. My mum told me it was my mum's brother. And he married a lady, and she couldn't say lawfully wedded husband. She kept saying awfully wedded husband. And the first time, you can hear me on the video, piss myself laughing. And then the second time she said awfully wedded husband, my brother starts laughing with me. And then the third, you hear my mum go, shut up. And then the fourth, I dropped the camera because I'm laughing and I nearly pissed my pants. We never gave him that video. Never gave it him.
Amazing.
Sorry, John. Carry on.
No, I mean, I don't want to rant on about my life.
Were you ever there at John's wedding?
Yes, of course it was.
Because I know you stopped. Well, not stopped, but you distanced.
We didn't distance. We just
drifted.
Life's just drifted apart a little bit. We were still always friends. We just didn't see each other very often.
We're both. I mean, both of us would have young kids and our own shit going on at that point. Yeah. So for
what
me,
about you when you first were told? Because yours isn't dissimilar to mine.
No, it's not dissimilar. So I got together with a girl. Well, we met each other through a friend of ours who just started dating a girl, and her best friend was quite tasty. And I said, "Oh, I fancy her," and she was seeing someone at the time. And we got chatting, and it was a case of, well, if she's dating someone else, I'm not gonna
bang her anyway.
No, I'm not gonna.
No, of course not.
But then she broke up with that fella, and then we started going out, and it must have been one of the first times that we were actually together.
Dick pics? Did you send a dick pics? Is that how you?
What, on a Polaroid back then?
I was going to say, did you show her a Polaroid cock and balls?
Yeah, I did an artist impression.
Charcoal drawing.
Yeah, charcoal on a bit of slate. No, but it must have been one of the first times we were together that she became pregnant. But I didn't find out until I was in the south of France on holiday with my friends, and I phoned back and was chatting to her, and she told me, "Oh, I'm pregnant." And my arsehole just fell out, and I was just, what? I don't know. I was just walking around like a zombie in a daze. I went back to the like villa that was sharing with the lads, and they were like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "No." They went, "Who's died?" And I was like, "No one's died, but I'm going to be a dad." And the barrage of abuse that I got from my friends, especially one friend in particular called Mike, who berated me for a good long time about how I've ruined my life, having kids that young.
And then how long later did Polly get pregnant?
She was 3 months behind. 3 months behind, and obviously I gave it him back as well. But and that was a real shock. And I got back, and obviously we got engaged.
Did you get engaged because she was pregnant?
No, not because of that. I wasn't going to do a shotgun wedding or anything like that. But we got engaged because we stayed together. The kid was born.
I could have sorted you out with the shotgun wedding.
Yeah, tiny
Shipman shotgun weddings.
tiny
Come
little
on down.
blonde thing. I got to choose the name, so I chose the name Rianne. I love that name. Also, Charlie, the mum, got to choose the middle name, which I wasn't too crash hot on because she.
Xenon.
No, her and her friend Polly, which was Mike's girlfriend, had a pact that they would use each other's names. So it's Rianne Polly.
Okay.
That's not good, is it?
Rianne Polly.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was Rianne, and then Emily was I think planned.
Surprise?
No, it was definitely planned.
Okay.
Just not by me.
Okay. You were in on the deal.
I mean, to be fair, for the first one, the first instinct was find me a rusty coat hanger, and the second baby was find me a rusty coat hanger. I've always wanted to be a dad, but it was a bit young. But with Emily, I was like, well, we've got one now. Might as well crack on and have another. And we did. And so, well, obviously, with your wife, we gave Emily your wife's middle name. Your wife's name as her middle name. Spelt the same, obviously, AEL. Yeah. The correct way of spelling it. Yeah. And then 3 years old. And she was about 3 years old.
By the way? Because I spelt it wrong.
No,
that's just the correct way.
Yeah.
I mean, you spelled your own father's name wrong. If I was going to dig you, it'd be that. There's no H in his name.
Well, I thought it was. I thought that was how you spelled John.
It is, but that's my name. It's short for Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Who cares?
I care. It's my name.
You goddamn dad. Yeah, and then split up with the mum when Emily was about 3. And since then it was me for a good long time.
So as a single parent, sort of single, what did you, semi-single parent, I suppose? Well, no, you were a single parent, but shared custody. What did you find the hardest thing?
Sometimes it was looking after them, especially when they were young, and when I'm sort of toddler age, and they're in pain if they're ill, and you can't do anything for it. And you just, that's really difficult. When they were babies, if they were just crying non-stop and there was no one there to relieve you from that situation, that was really difficult. And as they got older, it'd be when I took them back to the mums, and then it was just me. And, my 2 mates had buggered off back to the mums, and I couldn't play with them. I couldn't fuck about and mess around in the house and play silly games with them. That was quite difficult. And now it's just whenever they're around, I just want to smash them in the face because they're horrible little twats.
So as a dad,
not really girls.
As dads, I don't know how anybody else feels. You guys, I suppose, that are dads. And Ethan, I suppose you were 8 when Archie came along. Babies, little babies, 0 to 6 months.
Amazing.
Bag of shit.
Amazing.
No.
Bag of shit.
No, they're amazing.
Bag of shit.
No, it depends.
You might as well have a sack of potatoes.
I'm going to say it's amazing because the parenting that you have to do is so small. It's change them, feed them, change them, feed them. That's it. Every 2 hours, give them a bottle. And if there's a couple of you, so if you're actually in a relationship at that point, it's a piece of piss.
I suppose you're quite good at the lack of sleep thing. I'm terrible with lack of sleep.
But that's like the lack of sleep side of things isn't a big deal for me. But it's not difficult parenting. You know what I mean? It's literally.
I know what you mean. Yes,
2 or 3 things you have to do.
I suppose you go from
you're successful at that point if they're not dead.
You're more a carer.
Yeah. That's it.
You're caring for this thing. You're not really parenting.
No,
you're just caring.
You're not
for
passing
something.
on any information. You're not passing on any of your thoughts or anything like that. You're literally feeding it and cleaning its arse.
Bullshit.
They've
Yeah,
got no
I think it's-
personality at that point.
Yeah,
When they
there's no
become a
direction.
toddler, then that's when
Yeah.
I think parenting becomes extremely hard, but also rewarding.
How are you
I-
finding that, Ronnie?
I mean, maybe I'm being quite general here, but from speaking to Millie, I think preferred those first months, because I think the reliance kind of appeals to the mothering nature more than it appeals to the fathering nature. For me,
I
it
could
was
give
more
two
about
shits at that age.
yeah, it's more about the interaction. Once Ezra became interactive and started like laughing, and you could actually communicate with him and kind of see him reacting to things, that's when it became a lot more interesting for me.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely. I mean, I've got a grandson, a step grandson. Yes, that's right. I know.
Mm.
Yeah, step grandson.
You're married to a gilf, aren't you?
I am. I've gilfed up, and
What's a gilf, Ethan?
I mean, she wasn't a gilf. She wasn't a gilf when I met her. She became gilf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was just MILF.
Yeah, she was MILF, became gilf, and yeah. So I've got a 3-year-old step grandson.
A fidilf.
A gadilf.
A what? A fidilf.
Fat dad.
Fat dad, you'd like to fuck. Oh, Ethan, that's lovely. Thanks, mate. I mean, Ethan, I like you and all that, but no, you're not my type. Yeah, so I've got a 3-year-old step grandson, and now he's a lot of fun because he's running around. He's got a personality. He can understand things. You can have a laugh and a joke with him. You can play around with him, play cars, and mess about. And he's fantastic. When he was a little baby, because it wasn't my baby, it's just like, oh, it's a baby. I didn't have to look after it. I didn't have to do it. So when they came around, I was like, yeah, there's a baby. But now he's active and interactive. So no, I much prefer him now than when he was a baby. What about you, Ethan? How did you like it when your brother was first born compared to when he was a toddler?
I can't really remember, to be honest.
Did you not envy him when he was a baby because your mum was giving all the?
I always not played with him, but I'd always like pick him up and be cool that I was like a big brother. But
So I'd like to ask Ethan a question. What is your earliest recollection of
Alyssa?
fatherhood? Me is your dad.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm guessing you got loads of memories of your mum because you probably spent 70% or 80% of your time with her.
I can't remember a lot, to be honest.
What's your most
Vivid memory.
Vivid memory, yeah.
Didn't your dad make you stand in the garden once?
Yeah, he used to make me stand in the garden because I couldn't read. Crying.
That's true.
But
he used to
that is
scream
true.
at me because I couldn't read.
can you read now?
Not very well.
Wow. Wow.
Is that your most vivid memory?
No, I don't really
Do
know.
you think that scarred you a little bit in your childhood / teens?
What do you mean?
Like, did that put you off reading?
It didn't put me off. It just put me off doing schoolwork and
Did it?
homework. I think, yeah. But
What, it
that's
put you
just-
off?
Entirely? Put you off entirely? Or
Is
just
that
when
because you were
around
trying
with
to
me?
like get a jab in at your dad, like fuck you, authority
No, I think
figure,
it
or
was just because
you just didn't like do schoolwork?
yeah.
Yeah, that's most kids then.
And I generally didn't do it though, obviously.
Yeah.
So didn't do much at school.
I do regret that. I have to say, I do regret how hard I was. On both of you and Alyssa.
It was funny talking about it now, but it was harsh.
And yeah, I suppose it is. Looking back on it, I just would not. I just always would. I wouldn't have ever wanted it to have scarred you in a way that put you off reading or learning. It was very frustrating for me because again, I was obviously a part-time dad to you anyway,
And you were young.
and I was fairly young.
You were still a kid yourself. Kids
But
having kids.
I'd always put quite a, even though, because I was a dropout in school pretty much. I did fuck all. We've talked about this on the podcast before. I didn't really do very well in
You didn't
grades.
excel.
No, not at all. So everything I've done and all the education I've sort of had since then has been self-taught.
Yeah,
It's
and
been
informal. Yeah.
very informal. It's just stuff that I've picked up, stuff that I've read, stuff that I've watched, just things like that. I'm not saying I'm particularly well educated, and learning on the job, doing things like progressing through work and changing jobs, and just for me, just trying to learn as many different things as possible, I suppose. So I've never really done the schooling, but it's always been. I know how the doors that it opens for people, for like.
I just think it's
kids.
quite difficult because now with like COVID, my brother's working, schooling at home, and he's coming in asking questions and stuff, and you just think he's even asking me, and I'm like, I don't have a clue.
You don't know.
I
Yeah.
just
See,
don't
now
have a clue. And Liam's obviously not here because he's working. So he's coming asking my mum.
But why don't you know, Ethan? You
Huh?
should know.
But I even think some of the stuff they're learning now, we never got taught.
It has changed. I noticed. Yeah, when you were
And
at
I'm
school,
not. It's not like it's been long since I was at school. It's been like 3 years.
I'm going to sound like a bit of
I
a.
still don't have a clue.
I'm going to sound like a bit of an arsehole now, but it's one of the things that I really enjoyed doing with my girls' homework.
schoolwork and homework.
Yeah, because
yeah, I did.
it reminded me of those lessons that I learned, and it brought it all back.
Did
Did you not find that it was so different though than what you learned?
The different
Yeah.
ways of teaching it. So the way I learned to do my times table or subtraction or equations and stuff like that, and the way I learned to put a sentence together, they all changed. Yeah, the methods they used, but the end product was always the same. When my kids were growing up, they had things like phonics. We never had that.
Yeah,
Funky
phonics was a big
phonics.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you not think with like just the way what they're teaching them though is different?
No,
Like we used to have like BODMAS, it's now BIDMAS.
I don't know what either of those things are.
Brackets, indices, division, multiplication, addition, subtraction.
But it used to be BODMAS back in the day, and now
It's-
apparently it's BIDMAS.
It's the order in which you apply the mathematic symbols. So you do
So
brackets
brackets, brackets.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah,
it what
brackets,
is it?
indices.
Brackets,
first, indices.
indices.
So that's like to the power of division, multiplication,
Division,
addition, subtraction.
How does Ronnie know this?
So when you got a sum that was like 2 bracket x times
yeah, like algebra.
3
Yeah.
bracket. Yeah, it's algebra. So you do the brackets
Oh,
first.
it's algebra.
Oh yeah,
Do
yeah.
the brackets first.
Yeah, so if you got like
Interesting.
2 times 3 plus 2, do you add the 2 to the 3 first and then multiply that by 2, or do you like do the multiplication first?
So
and
that's
then-
that's
You do
right.
BIDMAS and you do the times first.
Oh, so that's changed, does it? The only thing that I remember like changing massively from when I was at school to when my kids were at school was Bodicea. Apparently, it's now Boudica, and I don't like that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you do get that.
So that
Suppose
really
now
annoyed
it's
me.
very different with schools and stuff.
Uh,
like that.
well,
Like,
no,
my
I've-
brother was learning sex education in year 6.
So I've got.
I
But
did.
religious sex education.
Well, not
like,
religious, but I did. I remember my first ever sex education class
I
was in
learned in
primary
year
school.
8 or 7 actually.
the only
and then
thing
proper in year 9.
that
But that
is-
was when I was just me, and it was a teacher called Mr. Charlton, and it was in
Mr. Charlton.
it was in the broom cupboard, and it
God.
was just me and him.
Did he also
and-
teach you to play that recorder, the one from his pants?
yeah, oh yeah. Oh, could I hit those high C's?
John, got
I
a
thought
bit
it was
of
like, oh.
a bit of topical information. Mrs. Bateman passed away recently.
I saw that, right? I saw that, Ronnie. Yeah, I was quite sad actually when I saw that. Yeah, and I never go on Facebook, but I did see that. Just one of our old primary school teachers. She was one of those
Mrs.
bygone
Bateman.
era. You must have remembered her at Homefield, Miss Bateman. You must have. She was
You went to the same school?
quite hardcore, old school, really strict but really good teacher.
No.
No?
Doesn't ring a bell. If I saw a face, maybe.
Maybe.
It's
Yeah.
quite interesting seeing the comments on Facebook. Though. A lot of people actually believe she kind of scarred them during school because she was very old school in her ways even back then. I mean, I remember if you yawned in your class, there was a good chance you had chalk thrown at your mouth.
Oh, at
Yeah.
Homefield, are we
Yeah.
talking? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hit with a chalk rubber. I was smacked
was
across the
probably Miss Bateman.
knuckles with a ruler.
That was Miss Bateman.
I remember one
She thumped
teacher.
Uranus as
Yeah,
well.
one teacher kicked me in the arse on the way out of the lesson because I back chatted him. Yeah, literally
See, I think they
kicked
should
me
bring
in
that
the
back in
arse.
schools.
You wouldn't have thought that when you were in school.
Oh yeah.
But
With
with regard
if I think
to
of that, I would have been well different.
You think?
Yeah, I messed around loads. I got put on reports after reports.
I know you did.
And yeah,
I just think
yeah.
I think you just fought against authority like you did your dad. You then didn't want to learn.
I think
and then
that
you
was
did
it.
that
I
at
think
school,
I
yeah.
quite enjoyed the fact that I could just be an arse.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Were you more of an arse at your mum's or your dad's? Not school wise, at your mum's or your dad's. So you played up more to your mum. Is that
Yeah.
because she wasn't as strict?
I don't think it was that. I think it's because I was with her all the time. And
You
when
felt
I
more
was with my
comfortable.
dad. I
You were
wanted to be-
terrible. Your mum
I
used to
wanted
ring me all the time and were you I suppose it's weird. Were you afraid of me?
Yeah.
Did he ever hit
Afraid
you?
of me?
Not as afraid that you'd just tell me off and stuff.
So don't look at your dad. Did he ever beat you? You can tell us now. Show us on the
No.
doll where he punched you.
No, but obviously like the stuff with like standing me outside because I couldn't
I'd
read.
cuff
and
him.
stuff.
I'd cuff him around the head. Give him a cuff around the ear, or if they were not like very rarely, but if they were like playing up and we were like, I'm not one of these. I'm not someone who's au fait with smacking a child if they're very naughty. I'd not got a problem with that at all. I think
So,
I think it's massively blown out of proportion.
so it's a different time now.
Were you smacked?
I was smacked.
I was smacked.
I was
Rachel.
smacked.
Rachel laughs about how her mum used to batter her with a slipper.
Slipper, yeah, I had a slipper.
All the time. So we turned out okay. So why do we?
Well,
why
you
do
can't
we,
say that just because you think you turned out okay.
But why do we?
Other
not,
people would be the judge
No,
of
why
that.
you
we
wouldn't
not
turned out like
believe-
you've been abused, have you? 'Cause
Oh,
you're
God,
a-
Exactly. Why do we not believe then that we can't impart that onto our children and keep them in check? If they absolutely start going nuts,
So
and your sister, calm down, David, calm down, and he's fucking chewing on the sofa. Calm down, David. No, David, you've got to.
If it was your
No,
dog, you'd be
slap
smacking
him.
him.
Yeah, slap him around the arse.
So
It's-
I was a smacker. So
You were smacked off your tits. Is that
No,
what you
no.
said? All through your parenthood?
I didn't mind if my kids were misbehaving when they were, sort of 4, 5, 6, 7 upwards. There'd either be a smack on the hand. I'm not whacking them with a hammer. A smack on the hand,
Yeah.
or on the calf if
Yeah.
they were being particularly naughty and wouldn't stop.
Calf kick, like Poirier did to McGregor.
Yeah,
last weekend.
calf slap with the hand. Open hand slap, more of a Boston,
Well,
a
Ronnie,
Stockton
you're a
slap.
young
Yeah,
parent.
But now that is illegal, I believe.
it's not illegal.
I think it.
I
Could
think
be
it- I
illegal.
think it
I
is.
think it could be illegal. Which is
Ronnie,
ridiculous.
give us a lowdown on your thoughts on smacking /
Because you're going to be going through this soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason for the kind of the protection is because there are people that go to the extreme. As in any case, the right place is usually somewhere in between.
They're going to do that
But-
regardless whether it's illegal or not. You're going to get.
your baby peas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
regardless.
but you need some kind of law there to use to stop people who do go
I
too
think
far.
it's already been there. If you beat the shit out of a baby or a child, then you go to prison.
Yeah,
if you,
but no
if you
snap-
slap them around the arse because they're throwing dog shit everywhere, then I think that's perfectly all right.
I think
But
smacking is illegal now,
so,
though.
I mean, perhaps
I've
not
just checked.
now. Like Ezra's 3 years old, you're perhaps not going to smack a 3-year-old, obviously. But let's say
No,
you're getting to the
definitely not,
older toddler phase, sort of 5 years old, and he's really kicking off or whatever
I
it
have-
might be. How
I've
would you
slapped
feel
Ezra on the
about
back.
getting physical?
I have slapped Ezra on the back once. It was he started going through a thing of hitting, and you could see in his mind, because obviously a toddler's mind isn't the fastest, so you could see the thought process. And there's one time he wasn't very happy. He was sitting on my knee, and he lifted his hand up as if to hit me, and then kind of stopped, thought about what he was doing, and then went ahead and like hit me in the face. Obviously not hard or painful or anything.
Yeah.
So I just basically slapped him on the back.
Yep.
And like shouted at him, and then felt incredibly guilty as he had a red mark on his back for like the next
Yeah,
hour.
but that's Newtonian to
So
me. That's
talking
for
about-
every action, there's an equal and
Yeah.
opposite reaction.
Talking about that,
he's
you just said
not
like
making sense.
leaving a red mark. We've just Googled it now. Is smacking legal in England? And apparently, as the law stands now in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, it is illegal for a parent to smack their own children, except where smacking is a reasonable punishment. But reasonable punishment would not include any smacking that left a child with a swelling or bruising.
Red mark ain't a bruise, Ronnie. You golden.
No, there was no swelling and there was no bruising. Within an
So
hour.
What
Well,
about a
that's-
cut?
that-
What about a cut? What if you caught them? I mean, a perfect right hook, right on the cheekbone, right on the cheekbone, cut.
What-
Like,
what-
2 stitches.
I
Minimum,
mean,
just 2
you don't have to
stitches.
punch him. You can just take a Stanley to him. I mean,
What if you go with the Always
Your
Sunny?
children.
perfect cut.
You can say, "Do you want a visit
No.
from Mr. Stanley again?"
Obviously, child abuse is something that shouldn't be laughed at, and we are laughing at it. But
I think
no,
you have
in
to use
regards
the Always Sunny approach. It's the implication.
yeah.
The implication is always about the implication.
So the
Good
way
call.
I tend to discipline my kids when they were misbehaving, if they were doing something that I didn't think was acceptable, whether it was the eldest hitting the youngest. So if my youngest smacked my my eldest smacked my youngest, I would smack my eldest and go, we didn't like that, so don't do it to her. Or if one of them bit me, which one of them did, bit me on the finger,
Bit her back.
intentionally, yeah. So I gave her a soft bite back, and she was like,
Yeah.
why you do that? I went, well, you've just done it to me. Did you like it? No. Well, then don't do it to other people.
Mm.
That
Well, is
sort
that
of
what that
approach.
says when it says reasonable punishment? I suppose.
Yeah.
Did your mum ever
That would-
smack you?
Yeah.
And did it make you violent? Did it make you want to smack others because you thought that? Because that's generally the thing, isn't
It
it? If
scares
smack
you
a
when you get
child-
smacked as a kid, isn't it?
So-
yeah, exactly. It should do. That's the
yeah.
whole point. It's supposed to shock you into like, oh shit, I really fucking
Yeah,
fucked up here.
I've gone past the line. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
I've got a story regarding smacking that I find quite amusing. As we grew up, my mum always used to smack us when we were naughty. My dad never did.
Yeah.
It was always, like you say, Ron, it was always the implication. There was always the chance that if we went too far, the old man would step in, and the old man was 6'3" and fucking massive. And,
Yes.
you know, it's as we grew older, my mum's smacking became less effective
Yes.
and more humorous. So I remember my brother calling my mum a fat bitch once.
Oh.
And he would have been about, let's see, about 10, 11, somewhere around that, I think. And instantly he saw the look in my mum's eyes, realised he'd gone too far and started to run. And now my mum was overweight, and there's no two ways about that. She was a big girl.
She covered some
But
ground though,
she
didn't
moved like the fucking Terminator.
Her combine numbers were incredible.
she moved, but while she was doing the moving, she also managed to take her slipper off. And
in one swift
yeah, like I don't know if you've seen them videos of people like taking off the hoodies with the foot. It was like that. It was amazing. And he'd run out into the garden to try and get out the gate, and we'd just had a new fence and gate put in. And this one pushed out, and he was trying to open it in.
Oh, schoolboy error.
And she caught him, and at the top of the garden, whacked him with this slipper. And he was like, "Mum, no!" And whack, whack, hit him a few times. And then he was like, "Actually, it's right, I know."
Oh, dear.
And my mum whacked me with a slipper once, and I went, "You're going to have to do better than that." Because at that point, I was about 14, and I was much bigger than her. You know, when I was doing lifting with my old man and stuff like that, it's just...
Gone from lifting weights to lifting KFC boxes. I
I don't eat chicken off the bone.
Do you not like KFC?
I like KFC, but not chicken off the bone, so I don't have any your buckets.
You need to sort yourself out.
Jim, I agree entirely.
You're quite upset. You're quite upset about that.
That is really
I don't get the point in buying chicken where half of it you can't eat.
Exactly, Ronnie. Exactly. I want to be able to leave
So
a
you know when you have a
clean plate.
roast dinner, are you
Exactly.
disappointed that when you have to take it off, you take all the bones out?
I don't, because many
I don't.
chicken breasts, so it doesn't.
Yeah.
No bone.
Well, even if you
Yeah,
do,
the good bit
even
is
if you do,
Chicken.
We've
don't-
really detoured on
you
this
don't,
conversation.
hang on. When you have the Sunday roast, you're not picking at it. You slice the meat and you put it on your plate.
What if you have a lamb shank?
You're not picking the bones, are you?
I'm calling lamb
So if
shank.
you don't eat chicken off the bone, yeah, lamb shank.
No, it's on the bone. I don't really eat lamb, to
It's
be
the
honest.
best.
You should be
That's the
vegetarian.
best,
Then. Why
though.
can't you eat it off the bone?
So because I don't eat chicken off the bone and I
why?
don't
What's the
really eat
reason
lamb,
for not eating it off the bone?
I don't like
'Cause it's
the,
bone.
it's the bone.
You
and I
two have the
don't-
same thing though. You Jim
don't-
and Ronnie. It's the mouthfeel.
Yeah,
If
I
you
don't
have
want it
teeth,
to touch.
catch it.
I don't want it to
Do
touch. my
you eat the
teeth,
bone,
yeah.
Ethan? Do you eat the bone?
Huh?
Do you eat the bone?
No, but I eat the
What's the
chicken
point
off
of being
it.
there? What's the point of
Huh?
being there then? What if somebody took all the chicken off the bone and gave you the plate of chicken, but there was no bones in it? You would
Yeah,
be
but then
upset.
just got a plate of mashed chicken.
No, it's not mashed. It's
No,
still
it's
It
chicken.
is like sort of.
Well, but
really.
it's the same thing here, I suppose, because chicken on the bone tastes better.
Why?
Oh, but cooked on the
Good.
bone, I agree. I
Yeah,
agree cooking on
it's
bones,
sweeter,
the flavour,
it's
but
tenderer,
just
it's
take it
got
off
more
before you
But you
serve.
don't have to eat it on the
No,
bone.
No,
exactly.
exactly.
So chicken on the bone tastes better, but you can strip it off the bone and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
eat the chicken off the plate.
So when you order KFC,
That's what 3-year-olds do.
Yeah. When you order KFC, what you say? Oh, I have a bucket of chicken, please. But can you take all the chicken off the bone?
No, they do boneless
No,
bucket.
I order a
Thing called a
Zinger
boneless
Tower
bucket.
meal because I'm,
Oh, the boneless
not
bucket.
a fucking idiot.
They literally do a boneless
True
bucket.
story. True
Sometimes
story.
I don't know how you're fat.
How? I order a Zinger Tower meal.
3.
Oh, the Tower burgers
So I
are
used to
amazing.
work at KFC and we created some incredible
created some
burgers.
Okay, then,
incredible
yeah.
burgers.
So you worked at KFC. Could you not cook it because it was on the bone? Or were
No,
you
because
like,
I'm not cooking it with my teeth, am I, you fucking idiot? It's about it touching my teeth. I don't want it in my
"You're
mouth.
such a wimp."
Okay.
Getting back to parenting.
No.
Yeah.
KFC. Worked there, created
So, 'cause I'm
some
starving.
masterpieces.
You're starving.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want KFC now.
Do you?
Mm.
Oh, yes,
So
good
I-
for fuck.
I can bring us back to parenting. I have an interesting discipline technique with Ezra.
Could you throw your chicken bones at him?
So there aren't chicken bones. We don't have chicken
Millie
bones.
to whack him with a bone.
It's actually one I think I picked up from my mum, which is the old countdown.
Oh,
So
yeah,
do a
countdown's great.
Countdown to 5 or from 5, and if it gets to 0, then I mean it's not. I don't hit on it. If it gets down to the 0, then it's basically I force him to do what I've asked him to do. So it's like get dressed, and he doesn't do it by 5, then I'll literally
4,
hold him down and put the clothes
3.
on. Yeah, but it
I've
works
seen the
amazingly
countdown
well.
used on my brother, and it just doesn't affect him at all.
Yeah,
Well,
but
he'll
that's
wait
because
He will wait till the last second and then be like, "Okay, I'll do it now."
Yeah, but he does
Yeah,
it
but he still
on
does
the
it.
last second. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
No, actually, not even to the last second. To the point where my mum was like, "All right, that's it. You've lost your phone," and then he's like, "I'll do it now."
But then, and then it works because he wants to do the thing that he's been asked. So with the countdown, this is something I don't know where I picked it up from, but it's something that I
I
picked
think
up.
every parent. does,
Yeah.
don't they?
But the first time they don't do it, the punishment needs to be severe enough that the next time you do a countdown, they then do it.
Yeah.
But I obviously came up with other things to make my kids behave as well. And they did ask me to talk about this.
Yeah.
So I don't know maybe if you remember in my old house there
Just
was.
gonna make some notes. Hang on, just gonna make some notes.
Yeah, no, you. Honestly, this has mentally scarred my kids, so don't do it. I had a filing cabinet back at the old house in the back room, and when my eldest must have been about 5 or 6, so Emily would have been about 3 or 4. They said, "What's that?" And I told them that it was
Stephen.
No, it was it was like a parcel box that I could put them in because it had 2 drawers. So I could put them in and send them to the children's home.
Nice.
So, and they were like, "What?" I went, "Yeah. So if you're really naughty and I can't deal with you anymore, then I pop you in one of them and you go off to the children's home and someone else gets to look after you. So you're not with daddy anymore."
Brilliant.
And they were like, "Well, that just seems weird," sort of thing. Then they didn't think anything of it. And then the next time they were naughty, I can't remember who it was, Annie or Emily, but picked her up over my shoulder and I went, "Right, I'm going to go and put you in that drawer now." And as I'm walking towards it, the terror and screams coming out of that child, it was definitely psychological abuse, because they both remember it to this day, the fear of being put in there and being sent to the children's home.
But I suppose this is a good point. Don't we all remember that? Don't we all remember like our parents doing stuff that made us absolutely fearful, and we did it to our kids?
Yeah, I remember.
Why do we worry about doing it again?
My mum on the telephone to the children's home.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I remember that.
"Oh yeah, can you come pick him up now?"
Yeah.
And all that
Oh,
stuff.
no,
I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So mine was just an evolution of that.
But we turned out, this is the thing. It's like, I don't get why these things are, I suppose the new age parenting of just letting kids do what they want. And I don't know. Maybe
I think it goes in cycles. I have a theory about this. I have a theory that goes in cycles. Everyone wants to do, or most people want to do the opposite to what their parents did. A lot of people do. A lot of people rebel against, even like Ethan was saying, he'll probably do a lot different to what you did to him. So I think it goes in cycles. There'll be the kind of the free parents who don't believe in kind of restricting the kids, and the kids will grow up with that, and they'll resent their parents. When they then parent, they'll start introducing boundaries and rules and things, and then their kids will then grow up with that and say, "I don't want that. I want the free parenting again." And I think
sorry, if I could just jump on this and just say, I raised my kids the way I was raised. So for me, my dad was an authority figure when I was a kid, and he was the one you didn't push your limits with him, because he was a big scary man. Whereas my mum was the one that you tell everything to and talk to and everything like that. So I tried to be both roles for my kids. So I could do the one side, but I could also be the authority figure. I obviously did smack him with my kids. Obviously mentally and physically, psychologically abused them with things like the stuff like that. Now my brother had the same childhood and upbringing I did, but he's
soft as fuck. But that's Toe. Toe is
no, but he's not smacked. He's had naughty step.
Yeah. Is that just because that's the new wave of how things are done now?
But that's what I'm saying. It goes against obviously what Ronnie's just said of rebelling against your.
So
I'm not sure. We've both raised in different styles. His aren't obviously the same age as mine now, and I don't know which one is going to be better.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can judge one kid against another kid, because obviously
they're all different anyway, aren't they? Yeah. So this is when we first talked about raising this topic. What I thought would be quite interesting, and I wondered if it would have generally had an impact. And I only think it did because of other people that I spoke to. But when so Ethan was born in 2001. Yes. Alice was born in 2002. I don't think I got the internet in my house until probably 2005 or 6.
Okay.
Google wasn't a thing. Facebook wasn't a thing. Maybe it was, probably in its infancy, etc., etc.
Facebook's is about 12, 13 years old now, isn't it?
I didn't get. None of our friends had children, because obviously, like I say, we had children very young.
At the same time.
So all of my friends were still. They're all going through, like Ronnie is now going through parenthood now. My other friends have got probably the old, like my close friends from school is one of them, Carl. He's got his son is 15, just doing his GCSEs. That's probably the oldest next child, if that makes sense, which is probably 4 years behind Alyssa. Yeah. So we didn't have anything to compare it to, and I didn't have anything compared to. I didn't have the internet to look at.
Yeah.
We had a book from the NHS that was 0 to 5 years old. and that told you everything you needed to know, from do they have meningitis to what to do if they're choking.
Rolling a glass tumbler over
Rolling a
the
glass tumbler over the leg.
rolling
Yeah,
a glass
exactly.
tumbler.
Yeah. So we were almost like, just draw on your experience, and this goes to one of the questions. So I did put this out on Instagram, and I got some questions from people, and somebody has asked. Let me just find one of the questions or comments that I have.
You are dragging that sentence out.
I am, because I can't find it.
So
A young chap called Alex has asked, what was the best and worst advice we got as new parents?
mine would be the same thing from different people, but it was the same advice. But it was regarding the same subject. One was get rid of the kid, and the other one was the kid. Some of the best and worst. I'm not going to say which was which, but yeah, best and worst. No, I don't know. I think probably the best advice was from my mum, and it just sounds really stupid, but she just said, just be there.
Yeah,
just be there.
Yeah,
you know,
I think you're dead right.
When they're crying, be there. When they're happy, be there. When they're sad, be there.
As a dad, I suppose.
All of those sort of things, because it is. She was very worried because I came from it's not like masculine macho sort of boy, but with an authority figure. My dad was. He was a big man.
Yeah,
and he was a big.
Sexually abused you quite a bit.
No, not even a little bit.
Sorry, I just assumed
that is like. I'm going to tell Ron you said that.
Ron's going to fuck me up. one kidney or no kidney, he's going to fuck me.
He will fuck you up. But you know, he was a big, not personality, but he was like a big shadow to grow up in. So, I think my mum was just a bit afraid that I would be. I'm a man. I'm not going to do any of that shit. And she just wanted me to be there.
No, you're stupid. You're silly enough.
Yeah. Well, I got two girls. I didn't get to do the like macho dad thing because.
I suppose you that with my boy, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Although
you're not allowed nowadays.
Although I did teach both of my girls like a bit of boxing, a bit of self-defense. They can both put a beautiful curl on a rugby ball.
Yeah.
You know, all of those sort of things. But I think that was what my mum was worried about. That I'd just be a bit too. I'm a man. I don't have to do anything. That's the woman's job. But obviously, I've got a great relationship with my girls, and I have always been there.
That advice, like for a lot of people now, comes from the internet.
Yeah.
Which is. What about you, Ronnie? Did you get any good and/or bad advice? Either stuff that you've seen on the internet that you think that's bullshit, or you tried it, didn't work, or that people have given you?
I mean, this is one interesting thing. Is speaking to you before, I know you sort of think about that. There wasn't friends giving you advice, but I can remember you and Ray talking about the fact that your parents gave you quite a lot of advice.
Yes,
mine did too.
Which is something I haven't had, because obviously being an older parent, it feels a lot less relevant. So we get a lot less kind of parental advice, which is in some ways is quite nice. We don't have our parents telling us how to do things, because they, you know, in our 30s to 40s, we can kind of figure it out for ourselves.
Well, yeah, I suppose as well. Not any advice they give, but a lot of advice they would give on raising a child is, well, at least 40 years old and probably not practicable anymore.
Yeah, I'm the same. We got lots of advice, but I don't recall any good or bad advice. I don't recall with bad advice. I remember my grandma telling me to, when Alyssa was teething when she was about 6 months old, to dip her dummy in honey. I don't necessarily, and then rum.
Oh no, see, I think that they're old wives' things. I mean, my mum did dip the dummies for both my kids in whisker.
Yeah. I mean, whiskey's different.
When the teething,
a bit in piss.
Didn't half get them to go sleep real quick.
Yeah, I bet.
I think the worst advice I had was someone saying just give them Cowpole
all the time.
Yeah.
You loved Cowpole.
I love you, Cowpole.
You used to medicate your kids were smacked off their tits on Cowpole.
They're two Cowpole kids. I'm surprised they don't resemble bowls. No, but that was the advice that someone gave me. Just every night, give them Cowpole. Literally every night. I'm like, I can't do that. That was the worst advice I ever got.
There was one good bit of advice we did get, which was somebody said basically make things as easy for yourself as possible, which I think maybe being older parents as well, it's just because it is so tiring. It's don't try and be perfect parents. Just make things as easy as possible for yourself. So you know what, if you do need to have to take away quite a lot when they're first born, do it. Keep things easy for yourself.
Yeah. That's a nice piece of advice, I suppose.
For people.
Don't feel that you're. Again,
don't hold yourself to a certain standard.
I did it all without the internet, so I didn't see what other people were doing.
Yeah.
I did it all in the dark, so I didn't know if I was doing it wrong. I didn't know if I was doing it right, and that was brilliant. because I had nobody to compare it to. Nobody with other children looking at me saying, "Oh, you're not doing," like giving me like side eye.
Yeah.
You're doing that wrong, or I wouldn't do that, or people like discussing, like, you know, when you get, it's nice to have probably, like, let's say like a group of people, when you all have children, like you had and Mike had children roughly the same sort of time.
And then Pete a couple of years after. Well,
yeah, it's nice
few years
to
after.
nice to sort of have that maybe, but then do you look at each other and it's like, oh, they're doing it that way, we're doing it this way, and you're like, we had none of that because we were on our own.
Well, me and Mike kind of we took it because the kids are quite close in age. We would look after each other's kids.
Yeah.
You know, if someone needed a night out or
Yeah.
they wanted to, I'm just like, yeah, just bring your kid over, or I'd drop mine off to him and stuff like that. Ethan's got nothing to say on this bit. He's been quiet for a while, but we'll bring you back into the conversation in a minute.
That's right.
But one bit of parenting advice I will give you, Ronnie, because obviously if you say you've got, you know, not a lot to go on. One thing I was really happy I did do was keep the relationship with my kids as not necessarily open, but non-judgy. So my kids will talk to me about anything, and I mean literally everything and everything. And they'll give you a couple of examples of that. My eldest, so I used to ask them all the time when they were started dating someone, still a virgin? And my eldest was like, yeah. And then I asked her, and she went, no. And I went, you fucker. So, but she was happy enough to tell me. You know, I asked the question, she answered it, and she answered it honestly. And obviously, my youngest saw that, and when it came to
She's evil.
Emily,
She's evil.
she's not. She's amazing.
She's a spawn of the devil.
Yeah, exactly. She's my kid. But my youngest came up to me one day, and I was in the kitchen. She went, I've got you a present, Dad. I was like, oh yeah, what's that? And she gave me a box of chocolates and something else. I can't remember what it was. And she went, ask me the question. And I went, are you still a virgin? She went, no, but enjoy the chocolates. Just fucked off. You know, yeah, she did it right. But that's the kind of relationship I've got with my kids, where they're quite open about stuff like that, and they're quite happy to come and talk to me about stuff like that. So much so that my daughter, I'm not going to say which one, sent me a message the other day saying, Dad, do you know how you occasionally get shooty up the bum pains? Well, I've got shooty up the fanny pains.
Nice.
I was like, wow, thanks very much for that. You know, I was like, okay, bit too much information, but I'm okay with it. So that would be a bit of advice. Just be really open with your kids and keep that line of communication open with them at all times. Don't make it a barrier that, you know, you can't talk to me about this, and, you know, I'm not comfortable talking about that. Ethan, did you tell your dad when you lost your virginity?
No.
How old were you?
No. What? Jim? No.
Well, no. Did you tell your mum? Were you fairly young, and it was an embarrassing thing for you, or were you older?
Yes,
and
I was young.
You were young. Okay.
He was 9, and it was my uncle.
No. So did you speak to your mum about it?
No, I didn't really speak to anyone.
Did you not?
No.
Your mates. That's
You
you either talk to your. That's probably quite a
with my
unique
mum.
thing that you would talk to your parents about, because I wouldn't have talked to my parents about anything like that. Not
well,
even a
see,
little bit.
I don't know if this is where it comes from, but my mum, you know, she would say, you get into an age now where you're probably going to be interested in girls. You know, feel free to ask me about stuff. And she said, just let me know though when you've, you know, because then I don't have to worry about you.
I had very much more of a parent-child relationship with my parents.
I had that with my father until, you know, and my mother was the person I would speak to about, you know, X, Y, and Z and all of sundry. But because my father was that authority, he came home from work, he had his dinner, and then you stayed out of his way.
Bombed you all?
No. I swear to God, he's going to fuck you up. I'm going to tell him this, and he's going to batter you.
Sexual tension.
John just wants my dad to fuck him.
I love Ron. Ron's go old school on me.
But my relationship with my dad changed massively when my mum passed away.
Yes, yeah,
Like,
I noticed
hugely.
that. Actually, I noticed that
Because obviously, then I saw my dad as vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously losing his wife for the best part of, how old was he? 25, 30 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And he just crumbled. And I was literally chatting to him about it yesterday. And because he's just lost his dog.
He did.
Yeah. And he put his dog down last night. And he says, I think I handled the loss of your mum better than I'm handling this. And I just
Wow.
thought in the back of my mind, no, you fucking didn't. Not a chance. I mean,
but there's some of that might be a bit of PTSD that it like
Yeah.
he's because I had that when I broke up with Ethan's mum. It's like there's parts that I don't like. There's a
what, you put a dog down?
there's most of that time it was so hard that like month or two I don't remember it. I
Yeah.
genuinely have PTSD.
You don't remember anything from
Don't
that
remember
time?
any of it. It's when I look back, I remember two different scenes. As I was looking in, like two scenes, it is like it's all black.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I'd like to do some regression because I think there's probably some shit going on in there that affects me now. There must be.
Yeah.
Because trauma like that and heart,
It's
especially at
stays
that age, I was 19, nearly 20, just coming on to 20. It's like that. Your formative years
Oh God, yeah.
are really difficult.
But yeah, my relationship with my dad now is fantastic. I mean, he was single for a few years, and you know, we got him to do things. I mean, my dad has always been a penny pincher. He likes to save money wherever he can, and I got him to spend money, which was really interesting. Got him to go out and buy a new car, and
yeah,
he was like, "Oh, that's a lot of money, Jim." I'm like, "Just go and get it." You know, have you
it's
ever
that
owned,
generation, though,
you know,
isn't it?
have you ever owned a brand new car? He's
Yeah.
like, "No." Go and do it. You know,
Yeah.
got him to go and buy a new TV, and he's like, "Well, that's expensive."
Yeah.
You know, but then also got to know his personality, and my father is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He is so funny. He makes me laugh so much. And then he got a new, you know, partner a few years down the line that he met through the bowls club, which is something else he did. You know, he'd never have done before. He started going indoor bowls and outdoor bowls.
Nice.
And, yeah. So my old man is hilarious. I'm just
Is he still with her? Sorry.
what, my mum knows she died.
No, your partner.
Yes.
Don't make me feel bad.
No. Talking on that note though, and then I'll shut up and let other people talk. When my mum passed away, obviously all the lads came to the funeral because my mum was
The mum of the group. There's always
yeah,
a mum of
yeah.
the
She
group.
she really was. All the lads had come round, and she was a classic mum. You couldn't come to our house without being fed. She'd make sure you had food and drink, and then you're packed off.
Or if you were bundled back by your brother after having probably the most drunk night out you've ever had, where you literally can't remember 17 hours
yeah,
and you vomited all over yourself and him
Yeah.
and most of your house.
Yeah.
And you'd wake up clean.
Yeah.
Naked most of the time. But I mean, that's
my
by
mum.
the by. That's by the by.
That's my mum.
With your clothes laundered and
Washed,
pressed
yeah.
next to you. That happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, so she was that sort of person that when when she passed away, all the lads came to the funeral and they were all really supportive and very nice, and I'll never forget that. But about 2 weeks later, we had my mum cremated. So in about 2 weeks later, my friend Neil said, "Where's your mum?" Meaning, where are her ashes? I went, "She died, Neil. You were there." Don't fuck about. It was very insensitive, and the look of horror on his face. No, I didn't mean that. You know, that's something I'll never forget as well.
You do love to fuck about with people, don't you?
I do. Not like my dad though. No, sorry, that's a lot. I couldn't know that one.
Oh, he loves it. So,
Right.
Ethan,
we need you talking more.
would you yeah, obviously parenthood and things like that. So you will be 20 in February. So
It's February now, so I'll be 20 in about
Yeah.
20 something days.
Got you a present the other day,
23 days.
You didn't have to do that.
but I did.
How did you know? It was my birthday.
I was
You
your
told me on the last podcast. You fucking.
Oh,
I was your age roughly when you were born.
What's the thought about having a kid right now? How would you deal with that?
crap, because at the minute I don't have a job.
Yeah,
I've got nothing, no money or out. So yeah, it'd be quite difficult.
I think it'd be.
That's a good point. If anybody's out there that's looking for an experienced plumber,
Or
only
we
we can't help you with that. But if you're looking for an experienced
you want an inexperienced one.
I'm quite experienced, but yeah, the only reason that is because of COVID, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, you've been unlucky. You've been married on a couple of times, haven't you?
So, do you think about having kids? Do you want to have kids?
I think I would, yeah.
When would your ideal time to have a kid?
Early 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah,
so
you're like me. You're like
you-
me. You're quite
Just
selfish.
because I see how you are.
And do you
and
like
I want the idea that I'd want
Yeah.
to live my life when I'm older as well.
Is that because of the relationship you and your dad have got is more friends rather than father and son? Now you're old.
I think so, yeah.
Are you
so-
still afraid of me as your dad?
No,
Are you afraid of me?
I'd bat you.
Hold on. We hold on. Let's just lay this out for everybody. When was the last time we went at it?
What do you
What,
mean,
physically?
that's it?
Grappled.
Oh, you're talking play fighting or
Yeah,
fighting
Yeah,
fighting?
but you
That was
were
only-
jiu-jitsu crap.
That was
so I
only
could
that was
never-
only a couple of months ago.
If we went street
And
to
I've got-
street
and I've
fist
got-
fight,
and I've got
I'd knock
fist
you
to-
out.
No, you wouldn't.
Fist to fist.
He works on
Oh,
his
I
hands
love
and
it.
knees.
He
You want to
does
be
have to-
careful.
But so what's,
you-
what's
you
the age
like-
difference between me and you? 20 years. So
Yeah.
what's a generation? 30 years is a generation,
know.
I believe. Is that right, Ronnie? Roughly?
I know that.
No,
I thought that 30 to 35 years was a generation. So we're almost, same as you, the same generation as our children.
possibly so. If that is 30 years.
And I
as a
love that.
generation.
I do like, as hard as it was having children so young, and it was really hard. Like, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't know what we were doing. I would not change it for the world, because I absolutely love having kids this age.
While
and
you're
me
this age.
While I'm like just turning
This
40.
is something we've spoke about so
A
often.
lot of people like the fact that you're quite young as well. I noticed when I talk about you. Oh,
Yeah.
God, he's a young dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got quite a
This is
young
something that concerns
family, I
me.
think.
This is
What's
something
that? Sorry.
This is something that concerns me, because thinking about it, like I'm 40 now and Ezra's 3. So when
I
I'm
always
50,
think about
he's
that with
13.
people.
When I'm like 60, he's going to be in his 20s. It's like,
Well,
we're not going to be well, maybe going to the pub together, but we're not going to be out in the field playing football probably together.
Yeah.
No.
Well, my friend Deke, he's how old is he?
4?
No, when he had the kid, 45 maybe. 44, 45. So when that kid hits 16, he's going to be 60-ish.
It's
Yeah.
a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, he's had kid really late, and him and his partner, they gave birth last March.
Well, she
So
did.
Well, you have to say they now. It's all
Fuck that.
we're
bollocks.
pregnant and we're
No, because that takes it away. That takes it
No.
away. Nommy did all the pushing and heaving.
no, because she can do this later in life, where if she crashes the car, she can phone him up and go, "We've crashed the car."
Right. Okay.
Stuff like that.
I like
We've
it.
spent all the money.
We've been
um,
anally raped.
Yeah. Why? Why?
What? Who's Ronnie?
What the fuck is wrong with you, Dad? So
I think you've had
But
a
they've done-
scarred childhood for all this.
I think he has.
raping
I
and
think he
stuff.
has. So they've done all of it through COVID, and obviously it's not obvious. I don't know why I said obviously, but they've done it all through COVID, and it's been really tough.
Yeah.
Well, no one will know because we haven't talked about it, but through COVID, I was made redundant in Feb, lockdown and COVID like kind of came prevalent in
Just
in
before,
March.
wasn't it? Literally
Yeah.
just.
I'd already decided to take some time out for myself, and then COVID. So with 2 high-risk people in my family, my dad and my brother, both transplant patients, I decided to do their shopping. And if I was doing their shopping, I might as well do everyone else's. So COVID lockdown for me wasn't overly different, because I still got to see most of my friends and do the shopping for them,
Yeah.
and drop the shopping off, stand at the end of the garden or end of the path and chat to them. But for them as parents, it was hugely different. They couldn't see their mum and dad.
Yeah.
They couldn't, have people look after the baby when they just needed some
See,
sleep.
I suppose
stuff
that's,
like
I suppose the,
really tough.
the COVID thing with the baby for me, I see that as a bit of a double-edged sword, because having had obviously children at young age,
Suppose you've also
etc.
got the fact that they've spent a lot of time. with
Exactly.
the kid.
Yeah.
Yes, that's as I was going to say. And they've been able to spend a lot of time with their child, but also they've not had what I had, what you probably had, and what everybody has when they have children is everybody else going out and living their lives, and you
Yeah.
can't because I can't
because I've got a child to
I've
look
got a
after.
child. Oh, well, I need to go and I need to see if so and so can do this. Oh no, not really, because so and so's had the baby all day and I need to.
Yeah.
So and you've not had that, looking out at all your friends living their life.
You've not got the
having
FOMO.
fun,
Yeah.
having fun, doing their shit, doing whatever, which is what we're going through now, because you've got grown-up kids,
Yeah.
and we can do it with our kids.
Yeah.
It's like we can have parties and go out and like Ethan came with us to Poland, and we
Do fish
in
camp.
March. Yeah, and we go camping and drinking and like have mini festivals and stuff, and it's like we can do all that with our children, whereas they're still in that small child locked down, sort of can't go anywhere, can't do anything phase.
Yeah.
But COVID negated that, because nobody's going out and doing anything, so you've not got that. You're not looking at everybody going out and having fun and doing stuff without you, because nobody can do it.
I think, I can't speak for them, but I would assume they would rather it be out of COVID, having the FOMO, than being locked down and not being able to have a release in regards to having someone else look after the child, or
Yeah,
visiting family and going,
that's the only thing, isn't it?
literally just look after the kid
Not
for an
having
hour
somebody
while I
to- yeah.
sleep on the sofa or whatever it may be, or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or having that access to additional help.
Yeah.
I mean, because I did pick them up from the hospital, and because it was just before lockdown. I was the only person that had held Jasmine.
Yeah.
We went into lockdown, so I held the baby before, and I was the only person to hold the baby other than the mum and dad for months.
Yeah.
Because no one got to come and see the baby.
Because
Or
you're riddled.
yeah, I'm always riddled. I've got everything, but that's really a strange situation to be a grandparent and not have physically seen your child or your grandchild or held it. So I felt really bad for them being in that situation. But on the flip side, like you said, Ethan, they got to spend so much time with the kid. Obviously, the mums tend to anyway because they have maternity leave. But dad's paternity leave, well, there wasn't any paternity leave when we were kids.
No, it came in the October after my kids were born.
It came in, yeah, I was going to say it came in after Emily.
Yeah.
But Deke got to, I mean, he was furloughed.
Months.
He got months. I think he's got 8 and 9 months.
Granted, he perhaps would have wanted to go back after 2 weeks, but
yeah, no, but he got 8 months to spend and watch child grow, which is something that we never had, not on a day-to-day basis like he's had. So it's been a bit of a double-edged sword for them.
I've had a bit of a mix because I think I was furloughed for about 3 months, so I had that time with Ezra. But obviously, again, you couldn't take him out to a soft play or anything. It was in the house, kind of locked down.
He was in the house or at the park.
Yeah. So it was a double-edged sword. But then,
Bet he loved it though.
oh yeah, absolutely. But then the difficult thing as well was transitioning from that. I then got pulled off furlough a little bit early in July.
Sorry, you said pulled off.
Oh yeah.
What is it with you two and sexual remarks at the minute?
they're funny.
It's like if someone says, "I do."
So then transitioning to working from home. In the current situation, my computer that I work on is in the living room. So doing that with Ezra running around, it was quite difficult. It was difficult for him to understand that things had changed from Daddy being in the front room and being able to play with him whenever, and Daddy being in the front room and not being able to just play around whenever.
Yeah, it's going to be tough on a 3-year-old. They've got that's.
And he has adjusted, but it's still. I mean, he still struggles occasionally. But it's just when he comes up and he goes, "Oh, Daddy, you do this." Like, no, I'm working. Oh, okay, you're working. Another half hour. Like, yep, okay. He kind of he almost understands. He doesn't enjoy it, isn't it? But
it's weird how kids are so easily malleable to what's happening. We always think that they get. That's one thing with that I would say that for parents, new parents, children are so easily come to terms with their surroundings, their situation. A lot of what we do is like I was saying. Like I feel really guilty about being hard on Ethan about his schoolwork and stuff. And part of that to explain to Ethan while he's sitting there staring at me, giving me the evil eye, is because I felt that, like I say, I was shit at school. I felt education was quite important, and I felt that I put a lot on Ethan just to try to do well. And I felt like out of the two, me and his mum, I felt out of
you
me
let
and
your
his
father
mum,
down.
I probably cared more, if that makes sense, when it comes to your education. And because I didn't see you as often, I felt that I would do a lot with you when it was my turn to have you, and then you'd go away, and then you'd come back again, and not a lot had changed. In fact, you'd regressed, and I'd be like, so when I was being frustrated because you didn't necessarily pick up the reading or telling the time, whatever it might have been, it wasn't. I was frustrated.
Shoelaces I was good at. Time was
dribbling.
not good.
Time was
a
bad.
nightmare.
Alyssa was bad at times.
Can you tell the time on an
now.
analog clock?
No, not very
Wow.
well. It takes me a while. It takes me a good 5 minutes.
Really?
Not
He's
5 minutes.
exaggerated.
How would you know it takes 5 minutes? You can't read the clock.
Well, that's why it takes me 5 minutes, because every minute
Because it's changing all the goddamn time.
Oh my God, stop.
No, it takes me about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I couldn't just literally look at it and be like, yeah.
Could you not?
Like, look and like.
So I put a lot on. I was very frustrated with the situation. I probably took that out on Ethan, and Alyssa as well, because Alyssa was just an arse when she was learning to do stuff. She was like, she was another kettle of fish altogether. But I was always worried that would have a massive negative impact on Ethan. And perhaps we don't know what impact that had. But Ethan says that it didn't. Perhaps it didn't. But we don't know subconsciously what potentially that effect had on Ethan.
I think it affected his his concentration because he can't seem to sit
Now
still.
he's fiddling with a
and
small
he's-
cat.
And he's stroking a small cat.
You see him smoking that? Yes, he's got a little small cat out of it. Good boy,
Yeah.
Ethan. Well, good
He's a
boy.
good boy.
Well done.
You can cut
So
touch it
what I
again in
would say
10
is, yeah,
minutes.
that children are very malleable. They fall in and they get on and they fall in with whatever it is that's happening. They're very easily sort of swayed and molded.
They just
Don't worry too much that things are affecting them in any given way, and don't put on them when you feel that, oh, this is going to be bad for them in this way or bad for them in that way, because kids are very, very, very resilient. They just carry on.
It's easier for you to say that at the position where you are now.
yes,
I mean,
because our kids are grown.
Yeah. If I knew in 15 years that Ezra was going to be absolutely fine whatever I did, then I could completely relax. But I don't.
He
There's a
will,
constant
Ronnie. I'm
fear
telling you
there
now. Look, listen to me. He will be.
I
No,
can't know
Ronnie,
that.
I do. He will be. Because you know what? Because you look like Jim said. One of the biggest things you do is just be there. Just be there. You're not
He might be
necessarily
thick, but who cares?
Yeah,
As
he
long
might
as
be
you're
thick.
there.
He might not get stuff. He might
not
be
a
good.
computer geezer like you, but
He's already doing maths. We get math tests from him.
There you go.
Literally, like,
Obviously, there's going to be things you're going to try and steer him down certain ways or down other, but he's going to be fine. He's going to be fine because you're going to be there for him, and whatever happens, and that's part of parenting. Parenting isn't just molding your child to be what you believe them to be or you want them to be. It's allowing them to be what they want to be and being okay with it, and just giving them the tools they need to be able to survive in life.
but
what did
I
you want
think
me to be?
What did I want you to be?
Yeah, if you thought about it when you were
A decent human being.
Yeah, genuinely.
That's it. Literally,
genuinely
a decent human being.
A moral human
You thought I was
being.
joking then, didn't you? I wasn't. No, that's all I
Honestly,
wanted for my
don't
kids.
care what you wanted
For them to be a
So
decent
the reason I
human being.
pushed you with the education stuff is because obviously you went into the trades, which is, I love it. I love the fact that you've done that. But I didn't want that to be all you could do. I wanted you to be able to pick the trades over engineer or, I don't know, fucking concert pianist, whatever it might be.
Yeah, they're
like
boring.
Pianist.
Of course they are. Yeah, I know. Yeah, whatever. But I wanted it to be your choice based on the fact that. So
Thanks, Ronnie.
if you imagine you're at school and you've got like you're looking through, you can see like the horizon in front of you, and as you go through school, how you do in your exams, your horizon gets shorter and shorter and shorter, and the better you do, it either gets bigger, or the worse you do, it gets smaller and smaller, until you literally have nowhere to look other than army or builder.
Yeah, but that is all I looked at.
Yeah, I know it was.
Yeah, but
because you weren't able to go down any of the other
could
roads. You could have if you would have applied yourself at school.
No, I mean I could have generally. These days you can't just go to anything. You
Not
can do
li-
A levels.
Only if you get the right grade to do the right
Yeah,
thing.
You can still do just.
No,
go
you
to do
can't.
A levels.
You can't if you wanted to be. Let's say you wanted to be a structural engineer.
Because you have to apply
No,
from
it's-
before you even do your GCSEs.
Easier than that.
and
If
get
you wanted to be a
accepted before.
doctor, you
Yes.
would have to have the qualifications.
Well, yeah, but
So that's what he's saying. He wanted you.
That's all it was.
He wanted you to have the full range to be able to do whatever you wanted. And if
I
you
had
wanted
the
to
full
pick,
range of the trade.
if you wanted to pick a trade, then that's fine. But you had the opportunity. And I understand where you're coming from with that, because
Yeah, that's all it was.
that's all it is with, with you being a parent and
Should
with
be
anyone being a parent. You want them to be
Retrained.
I always say I just want my kids to do better than I did.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, if I do well.
Yeah.
Or I want them to do better. I want them to be able to pay for a decent nursing home when I'm old enough.
But you see, I don't. When I say I don't want them to make lots of money. I don't want them to be
I'm
financially
talking about
independent.
just do better.
Yeah, I want them to be
Better than I am.
Be better humans.
Yeah.
Be better humans than me. Be more well-rounded. Be more compassionate. Be
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
understanding. Be more. Just be better.
Be better.
Be a better human than me.
Be a decent human being.
But you're not, Ethan. You're shitter than I am.
Yeah, I don't think I really have compassion.
But at least you got one out of two,
Well, I
John.
think you can do this.
I think Ethan is a sociopath. He has a severe lack of empathy for anything, and he kills people. So it's bordering on the psychopath side of things as well. Serial killer. No, both of your kids have turned out well. Obviously, Alyssa's much better than Ethan.
She went uni, so
Well, no, just
she got herself in man's of debt. So
I'm-
who's really
I'm not
winning?
talking. I'm not talking.
Who's really winning?
I'm not talking academically. That's obvious, but I'm just talking about personality. I mean, she's got one. And, I love you, Ethan. You're lovely, but she is better.
You told me loads.
So
I
what's
know.
it, so what?
I'll
what's
be
it
honest.
like having an
Sorry,
adult?
just in regards to that, I'll tell you the reason for that I get on better with Alyssa, because I spend more time with her, because she was, she was around, and you were at your mum's. But yeah, sorry. Go on.
I'm just going to say I've got a few more questions here that a few people have laboured onto us. So I had another one from a fairly new parent, actually, or she's got 2 children. But what did she find, or what did we find to be the most challenging age?
Is that Gemma?
No.
Oh, who's that?
It's somebody else.
Who?
I'm not going to throw any names out there.
Well, you named your
Gemma's
last
got
one.
4,
I won't,
technically.
no. I'm going to keep that one to myself.
Okay, so the most challenging?
Challenging.
You don't know anyone who's
age.
just had 2 new kids.
The most challenging age.
Let's focus on the question.
Most challenging age for my kids was, for me, as a dad, when they hit teens. I'm dad of 2 girls.
Yeah.
Challenging was, it wasn't necessarily challenging to deal with. It was my mental state that was the challenging thing. Every boy was a possible lad I'd have to kick the shit out of if they broke my daughter's heart. That sort of thing.
Yeah. Protective.
Yeah, that was very challenging.
Because then that's when they go from.
Turn your phone off, Ethan.
Is that your phone?
I didn't really mean that to happen.
Yeah, but that was challenging for me, not for. That was challenging for me mentally, not challenging for my children. I wasn't challenged by them, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like tantrums and stuff like that.
No, but
it was me having to deal with them growing up.
That's valid. I think that's valid.
But if it was, what was challenging to actually
I suppose
parent,
that's the scale. Ronnie will be like getting into this at some point over the next few years, I suppose. But these formative years, the whole point, my ethos, I suppose, on parenting is to put as much into your children as you can until they get to a point where they can make decisions for themselves. And at that point, you would like to think that you hope you've put enough into them that I could just see James' little screen and he's vanished beyond his screen. I'd like, all you need to be able to put is 6 to 6.5 inches into them.
Jim, what's so funny? Come on.
sorry about that.
No, what's so funny? Come on.
He said you can't put as much into your kids as you
Oh, Jim, you're
and
disgusting.
then my mind went back to him talking about my dad being a fucking pedo.
You've got to pump as much into your kids as you can over those few years where they can't fight back.
No, obviously a joke.
But no, until they get to a point where they can make their own decisions, and then all you can do is sit back and watch. Because you got to hope that you've given them the skills that they need to make the decisions that they're gonna make. I think that's that's the scariest. But the scariest part is when they probably get to their 14, 15 years old.
Yeah,
and they're starting to make decisions for themselves.
That and starting school, because then you've got a whole new dynamic. They're meeting other kids,
other parents you might fall in love with.
No,
yummy mummies.
Yummy mummies.
God. Your family is full of pervs. No, I'm talking about the kids.
Jim,
they've then got
little girls.
I beg your pardon.
Joe, that was a
Ethan,
joke.
Ethan, can you pour me another finger of Jim Beam, please?
Yeah, sorry, I was saying when they go to
Just
school,
one finger though.
They've then got a different social dynamic, and they've got to interact with other children, and those other children might have been raised slightly different. And what my kids do at school, and the way they behave might be different to the way little Timmy does, or little Joshua, or little Anne, whatever. And there's going to be conflict at some point. Not all kids get along, and it's how that happens. I mean, I'm a very protective dad, and I have had reason to discipline other parents, should we say?
Nice.
And other people's children. So there was a lad that pushed my little Annie off a slide on a wacky warehouse.
Yeah.
I told that kid off because the father didn't, that was sat there. So I told his kid off, and then when he had something to say about it, I told him off as well.
Nice. As it should be.
in a a kindly fashion. But that's a challenging age for the children, and which is also then challenging for me, because it's a new experience, and it creates a lot of tension. I found anyway.
I just found babies. I wasn't particularly interested in babies. They are the most demanding because they need 24/7 care. I'm not a huge cutesy baby person. I don't do well with lack of sleep. So I'd found that really difficult. I much prefer it when they get to an age where you can fully interact with the children. I think that's.
Ethan, have you opened a packet of crisps?
He has opened a
I'm
packet of
quite
crisps.
hungry.
Don't you dare eat them while you're on a
If you
podcast.
crunch them in front of the microphone, I will bitch slap you.
Parenting 101. Oh no, Ethan.
So, Ethan, would you, in terms of parents, what?
Who's better, your mum or your dad?
Yeah, who's best? Go.
Neither.
Neither. We're both shit.
Well,
How about
who's,
them
all right then,
apples?
who's least shit, your mum or your dad?
I'm not going to just go into that.
I can
do
answer
it.
it for both my kids. I've asked them off camera and off mic, and they both said me. I'm the best.
I don't know. I've got something different on here, James.
I'm sure they'll not agree, but that's what
So
they
I've
said
got a question
in my
here,
mind.
actually. For those who have two kids, which is me and you, Jim, really, and I know we've talked a lot, but just
Yeah,
find-
bloody hell. Jim
Sorry.
and John show again.
Well, let me
To be
just-
fair, we are more involved in this particular podcast, aren't we?
And guess who chose this topic?
The
You
viewers.
two.
the viewers did.
While you're looking at that, John, I'm going to ask.
Do you have a
In-
favourite child?
No, injuries.
Yes.
of your kids.
Ethan had a hernia in his scrotum when he was about 3 years old through coughing too hard.
No, but any
You're
injuries
not going
you.
to talk about the time that you were teaching me to chop wood and I chopped my finger off.
I was going to say any injuries you caused.
Yes, I have caused that. So I was teaching Ethan some bushcraft skills, and I was teaching him to use a rather sharp axe, how to chop kindling,
At the age of 10.
and he took
That,
the end
hang
of
on,
his
you should have been able to do that.
took his knuckle off almost. But what I enjoyed more than that was ringing his mum about 4 hours later and saying, just to let you know, don't worry, leaving a voicemail. Ethan's had an accident with an axe and we're just coming out of A&E.
You say 4 hours later, do you mean the next day after I've been already in hospital?
Love it.
Yes, well, yeah.
So on my my eldest, when she was just a little baby, she just started to learn to sit up, and mum would put her on the sofa, and I went to sit down next to her, and as I went to sit down, she fell over.
You sat on a...
No, I sat on her hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet that broke.
Well, we checked her over. We moved all of
I
the
thought you
all
were
the
going to say you
digits.
sat on the sofa and she went flying up.
It's not a fucking clown sofa. It was just a normal
I
sofa.
don't know, but you are a clown.
I'll fuck you up, kid. I'll fuck you like your dad did. Right.
What is it with you two?
He said it earlier. 6.5 inches, apparently.
4.2.
Okay. But yeah, we checked all the digits over and we thought she was fine. Wasn't until she was a bit older in life that, yeah, I definitely broke her thumb. That is fucked up. She's got a fucked up thumb. that never set properly.
But they're small enough. They're malleable enough.
Yeah. She can still grip a Coke can.
So
Coke can.
James, this is for you.
It's for me.
Can parents
Another one
have
for James.
favourite children and they just don't want to say?
Yes, I do have a favourite child.
Who is that favourite child?
It's my son called Steve.
That question does come from your daughter.
Does it?
It does,
Love
yeah.
it. So they'll both know of Steve. Steve is my eldest. He's got the same birthday as me, obviously a different year. He visited a few times when the kids were young, and he's basically a spitting image of me.
Yeah.
He liked to fuck about and mess around and stuff. He was very playful, and yeah, he was.
Did he ever get a little bit
No,
touchy?
why would you go there?
It's like an alter ego that you've created.
Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, it was. I'm not.
Just to compartmentalise the abuse.
I'm not Steve. I do not know what you're talking about. But he's my favourite child, and both the kids know that. I had so obviously I just pretended to be someone called Steve when when they were younger and told him it was their older brother.
Obviously, I'm a favourite child.
And no, just to finish that point off, I got my youngest a birthday cookie from Millie's Cookies for a birthday one year. And I got them to write in the icing, "Happy birthday, Steve," then cross out the word Steve and put Emily underneath. And she loved and hated that cake.
Bless her.
Do I have a favourite child?
Yeah.
Yes, but for different things. So, with Emily, I can mess around more. She's more playful. But if I want to sit down and have a conversation, Annie's obviously because she's a little bit older now.
Yeah.
But it changes throughout the years. So it used to be I'd mess around with Annie because Emily was just too little to, have a laugh with and play with and stuff like that. But it changes all the time. So it's favorite kids for different things at different times.
Yeah, I
think is the
agree with
easiest
that.
way of saying
I
that.
agree with that. Yeah, two very different.
Let's put it like
personalities.
this. But Ethan, if you don't turn off that phone, I'm gonna get your dad to smash it.
Mm.
Let's put it this way. I mean, there's no chance of you sitting down with Ethan and having a discussion on diversity, whereas you'd quite happily do that with Alyssa because she's
I could have a
intelligent.
discussion on diversity.
Let's do it.
Just annoy you all with my point, my views.
Your very narrow view of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a conservative, so think what you want.
Now, in regards to that, are you a conservative because of
Yeah,
the
why
way
is
you
that?
were brought up? Sorry.
I don't think so, no. Because I brought up two different.
What makes you?
So yeah. So how have you?
Liam and my mum didn't vote.
So how have you arrived
don't really
at
have-
the I'm a conservative? Are you very political?
Really?
So-
So I would be in my own way, but I don't really get into it with other people.
No, but
Why?
so did you research them before? Because obviously you've only voted once. I would have thought.
yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So before you did that, did you
Research, yeah.
researched and you had a look at their manifestos?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what a manifesto is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so you researched
I
them,
made sure that you did that. Yeah.
and then you formed your decision based on that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Doesn't matter what you are then. As long as you researched and you did it, that's fine. So you could be Conservative, Labour, whatever. You've done the research, you choose what you want. That's
I did
fine.
that quiz as well.
You did do the quiz. What did the quiz come out with?
We're not talking about that.
What did it come out as? Did it come out as Liberal?
No?
Brexit.
Did he
It
come
came
out
out as
as
the Brexit Party.
Did he really?
Yeah.
So your son's a racist then?
Basically. Yeah.
I mean, Ethan, are you
Racist
still,
xenophobe.
I took that quiz
I
three
didn't bum him
times.
hard enough.
Yeah, racist xenophobe.
Yeah.
3 times I took that quiz.
Did you?
Brexit parties both 3 times.
Both times. He,
But he- but he- but he
didn't do any education.
But he voted Conservative.
I couldn't vote Brexit party.
Why?
They weren't in mine. On mine.
Constituents.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's a shame.
Upsetting, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. So you just went for the next racist
Yeah.
party you like.
But I like my family is full of. It ranges from the very liberal to the very conservative.
We need to get off politics.
But I like that.
Yeah.
I like I don't think that denotes who you are. I think you can have quite right wing or quite left wing views on different subjects, but still be, like I say, understanding, still be fairly compassionate in certain ways. I just think that
With most people, no one is. I don't think anyone is 100%
no, most people are
behind
moderate.
one
You couldn't
party
be,
in
really, could
everything
you?
they say.
No.
So people are always going to take bits out of the Labour Party's manifesto. And I like that. Some bits out of the Conservative, maybe some bits
And
out
I think
of the
you
Green
change.
Party.
I think you change as you grow older as well, and you.
And it also depends on your
learn
personal
more.
circumstances. You know, if you're a business owner, then the Conservatives normally are a lot better for you than the Labour Party, and
Yeah.
you know, so on and so forth. But I think a politics discussion is a good idea for another podcast, not necessarily
I like it.
parenthood.
That would be great.
We 3
We should
Labour
get into
against
that.
1 me.
That's okay. We can get into that. I don't necessarily subscribe with everything that Labour talk about
No,
at all.
especially the
I do
anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I do consider myself
What are you? Are you
fairly liberal, but
Labour, Liberal Democrats at one point, also considered voting Green Party, but obviously then
Yeah,
it's
I
how
tend
much
to
is
agree,
going to do anything.
Ronnie, you're Labour, aren't you?
probably.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. Obviously, when they bring out their when they
then
bring
why?
out their
Why?
manifesto, if it's not something I agree with, then I'm not fixed into any one.
no, I'm not. And I
Party.
don't think anyone should be.
No, so I'm not always going to vote Labour because I voted for them before. But you know,
I mean, I'm curious to know why Ethan thinks I'm a Labour voter.
Because you said you might be, so I just thought, yeah, you are. If you think you are, then you might. If you think you might be, you got to be.
Really?
have you voted for different parties before?
Oh yes.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, there you are.
So you are at the moment, Ethan, the only one that's 100% conservative.
Are you happy with
Loser.
your votes, Ethan? Do you believe they've done a good job?
Yeah,
Are you?
Okay.
You know,
just not with the kids stuff.
You.
other
What,
than
what I
that-
would say.
Hang on, what
I would
kid
say,
stuff?
Without trying to.
Not off. You know what I mean with the kids
So
stuff, the
without-
meals.
no. I thought you were talking about the
I'm about to do some parenting right
the
now.
peers.
I'm about to do some fatherhooding.
Damn.
So,
If this was live, if this was on YouTube, it'd have to go into the older.
what I would say, and this is something that I've only learned over the last few years, and I'm nearly 40. So to impart this piece of knowledge onto thee, don't ever sit in a camp and fight for that camp, regardless of the outcome. So if you vote for something, or if you have an idea, or if you push for something, don't stick behind it blindly, regardless, just because you don't want to say I was wrong, or you don't want to say
No, I
they've
know,
done something
but
wrong.
You're just thinking of saying that just because.
I'm not, because you had a twinkle in your eye and a little shy smile there because you
Because
thought
it annoys you, and I think it's
no,
funny.
but yeah, but that it's not funny when it,
But I
when
don't think
when
they
it's
have
a bigger
in
picture.
the situation that we're in. Could anyone do any better?
Well, we don't know.
Well, no one knows that, do they? But that's all I would say is that they're responsible to you. You voted, so they're responsible to
yeah.
you. So you hold them accountable. If they've not done what you think should have been done, or if they've not done stuff that you think is right, then they're beholden to you. So you don't vote for people like you're voting for people to win the X Factor. You vote for people, and then you go, right, now you fucking do what you said you were going to do. Make this place better, run this country better than it's ever been run. And if they don't, then you make them accountable. And if they're not accountable, then you vote for somebody else and you say, right, you couldn't fucking do it, so let's see what you can do.
Okay.
That's how politics should be.
You got real angry.
I did, because
Yeah, we got
I didn't get angry, but I think that that's, people don't see it as politics. They see it as, right, I'm a blue team now, so whether I have to follow them, whether they get promoted or whether they get relegated.
Yeah, let's start. It's supposed to be fatherhood, not bloody.
But this is
no.
This is
No,
fathering.
John, stop.
I'm fathering
Stop.
right now. I'm fathering. This
So-
is me fatherhooding.
What funny shit has happened to you as a dad? What have your kids done? I've got you off that topic now. It's called diversion. That was. That's a
Sorry,
good
mate,
one for you,
sorry,
Ronnie.
mate.
Diversion.
What funny shit have they done?
So I'll tell you mine. Both of my kids have thrown up in my mouth, and both of them have sneezed in my mouth. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Pooed in your face.
No.
Okay.
My mate's kid. He had her in the bed with them when the baby was little, and she shit outside of a nappy, touched it with a hand and smeared it all over both of them. That was quite
Nice.
funny. Yeah.
So we do have an ongoing thing actually between me, Ethan, and Alyssa, which is the great chocolate debate of, was it 2010 or
I
11?
can't remember, but you're wrong.
When Alyssa had a friend round and there was chocolate on Ethan's quilt.
That was definitely
there was
shit.
a sleepover.
It wasn't
and,
shit
they
because
snuck chocolate in.
my father put its finger in it and tasted it.
Oh, I had to make sure.
Doesn't mean it's not shit.
I had to make sure.
It was definitely chocolate.
So there was chocolate all down Ethan's pajamas in his sleeping bag, but he seems to maintain that he had nothing to do with the sneaking in.
What
the
I think
chocolate.
is happening is Alyssa's friend came in, snuck the chocolate, put it in the sleeping bag she thought she'd be sleeping in. Turns out she wasn't sleeping in that sleeping bag. I was. So when I went to sleep in it, it melted.
Okay. Should we talk about the other time that you tried to hide something?
No,
Let's talk about that.
no,
Let's talk about that.
no.
I think we should talk about that.
Was it a dildo?
It wasn't a dildo. What
No.
happened, Ethan?
We're not talking about that.
Well, what happened?
Well, he doesn't
No.
want to talk about it, John. So why don't you just tell me?
I'll just say it. Anyway,
it's just me
shall I?
listening. No one
No.
else.
When the cat did a poo and you tried to hide it.
Did he go clickety clack?
No.
No, I can't believe you're bringing this up.
Why?
Because
Why? Come on.
no,
The cat pooed and you tried to hide the poo by squeezing a Batman toy into said poo and pretending that it was the cat's. We thought it was the cat for a good hour until it was time to get dressed in the morning and there was shit stains all on the inside of your pajamas. And it turns out that you tumbled the poo out onto the bedroom floor. And then rather than clearing it up, you took a Batman toy and just squashed it in.
And he was 17.
I can't believe you said that.
Why?
Disgraceful.
Disgraceful. That is one of the funniest things you've ever done. It was amazing.
What about you, Ronnie? Ezra done anything that's made you chuckle and laugh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can't think of any examples as good as that though.
No, that is a cracker. That is a
I mean,
cracker.
And we've had the general poo, but he's never tried to hide it. It's just been standing there like watching TV and going, oh, and then look down, there's just a poo on the floor. But that's just
A bit like Blues. My
really?
dog does that.
A little bit of tumble bum.
Tumble bum. Yeah.
Right. And anything else on the list there, Ethan, that we've got to go through? So grandkids, the only one. No, done that. Done.
Let's just cap this off then by saying, James, as an adult, as a parent of adults, one piece of advice you could give to any new parent.
I don't know. Like I said,
Okay,
just be there. Just be there. That's the
just
only
be
thing.
there.
Just be there.
Just be there. Ronnie, as somebody who's got a 3-year-old, any piece of advice in the 20th century that you could give to any new parent or parent of a small child?
Yeah, get as much done as possible before having kids.
Okay, there we go. You says you're having a child now, you're fucking too late. Good luck to you.
If you need to paint the house, get it
I've
done
got some.
now.
Go on, Ethan.
Don't give your kid where you don't know what gender they are. That's daft.
What?
Where like, oh yeah, they're not male and they're not female.
Oh, they're X.
Don't
or
yeah,
put,
oh,
put a
non-binary.
gender
That is
on it.
Daft.
I think
Yeah.
that's a little confusing. Yeah, I think that is.
I don't know how you
I
could
mean,
do
that
that
probably
to
goes into a different topic, but I do think that you can potentially,
I don't know.
confuse
I
a
don't know.
child,
You-
potentially.
Like you said earlier, they're very malleable. They'll just
let
go
them
with
make
the
their own
flow.
decision. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they're older, not at a young age where you're telling them, yeah, you're not a gender.
Well, then
You're
do you
not
believe in?
anything.
Do you believe in circumcision?
Like there was a video of this woman on TikTok with a brand new baby. She was like, "Oh, my baby's gay." Oh, get a grip.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's
Yeah.
silly, but
Yeah.
you know, circumcisions is something that's done to babies. They're not.
That's a bit different than saying you're either a
Well, you
you're
could
not
say
a
no.
man,
You could say
you're
they're
a girl.
non-binary.
Religious,
They can be. They can grow up however they want. If they want to grow up as a boy, they can grow up as a boy.
Yeah, so let them make that decision.
Yeah, but-
not you decide for them.
But you would be deciding for them if you said they were a girl or a boy.
Not really, because you're
Well, yeah,
going off
because
what their gender is.
But if
what
you
you
raise
would-
them,
But then that answers
Should
that's
raise them
the
in
big,
those-
No, that's not their gender. That's their sex.
that's the bigger question of, is there only two genders? And
Yes.
well, that's your opinion. There's a lot of people out there that don't believe that.
Yeah. So gender and sex are two different things, Ethan.
No, they don't. There are people out there that don't believe.
Gender and
you-
sex are two different things.
No, they're not.
You could be male,
They are.
female. You could be fluid. You could be
Non-binary.
non-binary. Yeah, there are lots of things out there, and putting a cap in their ass is not the answer.
But this is what I'm saying. You know,
This is the diversity of the world that you're living in. You have to be accepting of other people, and the way that they are.
biologically, someone could be a boy and wish to grow up as a girl.
Yeah, so let them make that decision.
But that's what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying.
right,
But
yeah,
if you assign them a boy or a girl when they're
saying them
younger,
they're not a gender is not. I don't think you should let them decide when they're older.
but that's exactly what that would be doing.
Not really.
No,
course
but
it
I do
is.
agree with Ethan in a way. I do think that like, mate, like biologically, not talking about like sociologically or
Yeah,
mentally.
biologically,
Biologically,
they are
you
male or
either male
female.
or
or
So
intersex.
So perhaps
depending,
you
but
bring
it's very small.
a child up in that way until they're old enough to. But then you have to be able to, for that to be okay, you've got to be able to surround them with a life that is open
Balanced.
and balanced and
Yeah.
comforting enough that if they decide to then say, I don't feel like I'm X, Y, or Z, that it's okay. Like if you, then it's okay.
I'm 100% playing devil's advocate because
Yeah.
I raise my children as girls because they're girls,
Yeah.
and I do believe, that I should have raised them as girls. But there are people out there that
But you also you're also quite open to the able to turn around to you one day and say, I don't actually feel like a girl.
if they decided they've been living in the wrong body, then that wouldn't be an issue to me. They wanted to be boys, that'd be fine. But when you say don't choose for them by assigning them that, gender role of boy or girl or whatever it may be, you have decided for them, especially if you then bring them up that way. So if I brought both my girls up as girls,
If you
Even though I gave them-
stalwartly say,
Yeah.
you're a fucking girl. And you'll
although
always-"
obviously I did throw in some elements of boys because,
Yeah.
not, not necessarily
Slings and
boys,
dick.
not necessarily boys, but doing boy type stuff that's classically boys, like rugby and
Yeah.
fighting.
What
and
advice
stuff
would
like
you give?
Me?
To wrap this up, yeah.
No, I'm not finished. But yeah,
Do
Go on,
everything the
go on,
hard
John.
way. That would be my piece of advice.
do everything the hard way.
Yeah. If it's difficult, do it that way.
So
Do
the-
everything
The
that-
opposite
Go-
to my advice as well.
No. I don't mean it like making things easy when a newborn has come along is one
No.
thing, but doing things the hard way is doing things hard in the short term is so much better in the long term.
Mm.
So I know parents that have had children sleep with them until they're 6-7 years old, because they can't sleep in their own bed and things like that. It's like doing things hard in a short period of time to get them over what you need to get over, so that you can live the rest of your life. At some point, Ezra's going to not want his dummy. The best thing to do is to take it off him, go through 2 days of hell, 2 days of absolute hell, and then he'll be fine.
Christmas.
Yeah,
do it
and then he'll
Christmas
be
time.
absolutely fine. It's like make sure
Yeah.
go through that, do that hard thing. That so with Alyssa, not so much with Ethan, obviously, because he wasn't with us as much, but with Alyssa, there was things like she didn't want to do summer schools, when because we were working, we'd put her into summer schools, or we'd take her to the brownies and things like that. So we forced her to sort of socialize with other kids quite a lot.
Please can we have the
Even
fish
though
pie
she
story?
really, hey,
Please can we have the fish pie story?
the fish pie story. So the fish pie story was Alyssa didn't want to eat fish pie. I'd made a fish pie and she absolutely wouldn't eat it. And so she basically, long story short, she had that fish pie for 3 days in a row until she ate it. And on the last day, Ethan was coming around that weekend, and I said, "It's Friday. Ethan's coming around tonight. If you don't eat this fish pie, we're all going to have hot dogs, because we were having hot dogs. It was Friday. You're going to have a plate of vegetables." And she said, I don't care. So she didn't have the fish pie, and she had a plate of vegetables that night and cried while eating her carrot sticks, while Ethan chowed down on hot dogs.
Dad of the year.
And she talks about it now. She remembers it now. But she is the least fussy eater I know. It's like there's nothing Alyssa won't eat or try, because, and that was the thing. It's like, if I hadn't have done that, or we hadn't have done that, we would have been having that food fight for the next 4 years. But I got that out of the way with by having 3 days of hell.
See, I think you're probably the person that's given me the most advice as a parent of anybody, and there's a few things that have stuck with me, and I think one of them was a similar sort of example to that is you're a parent, try and be a parent first and a friend afterwards rather than the other way around, because some parents try to be the friend
100%
first.
agree with that.
Yeah. And it has influenced how I raise Ezra, I think. But the other one is, I think the other key thing as well is, if you make a threat, you have to follow it through.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
100%.
Yeah.
Dead otherwise, it means nothing.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's empty, and the kid will know that, and then you will never.
Yeah.
You'll never get the desired outcome.
Don't ever
Exactly,
have your bluff called.
Like with the lesson with those vegetables, it would be quite easy to just say, okay, you've learned your lesson, don't do it again, have hot dogs.
No.
But no, you follow through with the,
100%.
Right. I think it's gone on long enough. We've gone off topic a few times, but Ethan is going to wrap it up now by telling you to click and like stuff and crack on,
If
Ethan.
you enjoyed this video/podcast, even though it's not really a video, it's just you listening to us on the YouTube, then please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. If you're here on the many podcast sites that we're apparently on now, then I don't know what you even do. Subscribe, follow them, download them, and then also pass us around like a spliff at a hippie's campsite.
You could have gone through so many different things there, but you went with spliff at a hippie's campsite.
But cool.
Also, next time you wrap up, can you do it in a less creepy voice where you talk? That was just a bit creepy.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Jim.
Thanks, Ethan. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.